where anyone who, in this context of physical challenge, difficulty, anything like that, which we're asking you to avoid, the adaptives will be a session in which we can work a little more closely with people and make suggestions about how they move through the introductory phases of beginning to address some of the physical challenges that may exist. So we'll be able to make specific individual suggestions about how progress can begin and how progress can continue, because dealing with such a large group like this is very difficult to get that close. So the adaptives will be a stage during the end of the program where we can pay attention to those things. Okay? Now,
today, they're at the end after we get through, where we get the top part on one day, the middle part, the next day, the bottom part, then there will be the adaptives from the session. Right, so it's not today that we're going to be doing adaptives. And postures you have a hard time with, that's all right. Don't push yourself into them today. And same with any of the ones that we teach, for the next couple of days. There will be an adaptive day where we work with two versions of adaptives. One, how to make them easier until you build core strength, and two, how to make them harder if you're already there. Okay, so that's how the adaptives work.
Funny, it was me that had the curry last night. Now then, the Logas as were an interesting subject-specific development out of yoga, as is obvious, with certain points of focus, stressing into breathing. In the last year, many of you know that I've dealt with an interesting challenge relating to the kill code on the one hand and actually thermal rewiring on the other, which has meant that my physical mobility has been seriously arrested. And during the course of the recovery, particularly in the last several weeks, I've come to develop a much deeper understanding of some of the things that we were beginning to talk about when the Logas were first introduced. And I think, if anything, I've come to appreciate much more deeply the relationship between the breath, the flows, or the channels of energetic circulation, and the physical postures. And it leads me to say that whilst we're going to assume certain bodily positions, my personal understanding now is that the breath and the way we use the breath in a number of ways is, if I have to choose between them, much more vital. So what I'm actually suggesting to you is that in the course of this morning's session, you will find me talking more about the breath and how we use it than I will be about any kind of physical extension, but simply how you present the physical self in a way where you allow the body to open and you don't push it in any direction anyway. There are only a couple of positions in the Logayanas where there is, let's say, any kind of muscular effort. There are just a couple of postures where you have to be working a little differently. For the most part, 10 of the postures are simply where you allow the body to unwind, where you allow the channels to open, and whereby by using directed, focused breath, you can actually work with the parts of the body that either the object of localized healing, whether there's a little bit of blockage, whether there's a little bit of resistance or tension, where the Jarsh is talking back at you, essentially. Okay. Now, talking about that leads me to provide you all with a personal update of the things we do during a Logayana session. I thought for some time about whether I should update the Logas Touch Quickfire component in the text. And I realized that if I did do that, and I brought it up to the level that you're working at now, then those people coming into the work, those people at the intermediate stages of involvement, wouldn't really understand the significance. They could parrot the things that we would be giving them as instruction, but they wouldn't really understand. So in short, I decided to leave the text as it was, and to talk to you just a little bit about the opportunities that have arisen naturally through progression of the work. Now, aside from the fact that I choose, and you can choose, to open your Loga session any way you would like to, I don't ever begin a session without a rather private and personal recital of the Maharata completely, or a kind of short form dialogue. And the reason I do that is because personally I find it brings me into focus and it provides a perspective of what it is I'm doing. It may appear superficially that I'm doing something for me, but my perspective is that I'm doing as much as I can for all. And so there is a respectful recital that occurs between me and Source, in which I set the framework for the work that I'm about to do. Now from that point, what happens in terms of creating focus, using a breathing mantra, using a counting mechanism, we work with Rasha-era on the inhale, Krystal now on the exhale. So all of the breathing patterns are attended with Rasha-era, inhale, Krystal now, and Rasha-era, Krystal now counts as one. So if you're working with any of those games people play kinds of ideas, you can say, well, here's the posture that tends to provide me with difficulty. I'm going to do a count of 3, and then come back to start position and go back and do another 3. Or if you're more subtle or you're more familiar with it, you can be working at the level of 12s, rounds of 12s or rounds of 24. Okay? So by working in this way, what you begin to do is to engage the brain in a game which tends to keep it out of your face. And much more importantly, it provides you with a conscious, crystallically oriented point of attention. And thirdly, by utilizing that as a mantra, you are clearing, expanding, activating, amping, any of those sorts of words. All right. Before each movement, between each movement, and to close the movement, I would suggest to use the amping technique, the clap, and at least the power of 12, or the Jan to Etter Due each time. So before you begin the first posture, I won't do this all the time for the sake of time, but if we start in the first posture, we just go, and then really very quick, and then you go into the posture. At the end of the posture and before the next one, you do exactly the same thing. Okay. Now that what I've just done is I've just rewritten the side notes for how we work with the Logas. Okay. So apart from the punctuation marks, then all of the breathing is attended with Rasha-era, Krystal now. Okay. I think, let me just check my teachings. I think I'm right. Okay, so if you prepare yourself for posture 1, if you'd like, I will just work my way through it before you do anything, and then I can watch you a little bit if I notice anything, I'll make some comment. So on the first posture, any of the standing ones, it's important to pay attention to the foot position, and you just, if you need to, if you're not familiar with any of it, you just work your body a little bit until you can feel that the balances that are running through the body in preparation feel as if your feet are pointed in a counter position, not rigidly straight so that you're twisting your big toe in or anything like that. Just plant your body down and you know that you're in the correct area, and any small adjustments you need to make during the movement you do. With this one, like the majority of them, it's a case of my head has a weight. Your head has a weight. And you begin by just dropping your head, allowing its own weight to fall forward so that your chin is going onto the just above the Ah-LEi, and you just bend your knees slightly. And having reached this position, and this is all going more slowly than it would normally do, you just allow the upper body to begin to fall forward. Don't push it. Just fall forward, and at this point, you'd already be using Rasha-era Krystal now on the breath. Okay? As the body just begins to respond to its own weight, there's no pushing involved. You just allow with the knees slightly bent, just to let the body open slowly in its own time. No need to push anything rapidly. Just let the body open like that. Okay? So if you stand upright for a second. Okay? And head down, slightly bent. Your arms just literally hang from their sockets. Just let the body unroll down slowly, no pushing, no pushing. Just let it unwind. That's it. Now, as you're going down, just pay attention on the breath to those parts of you that are feeling a little bit tight. Don't push through it. Just be patient. The body will actually unwind a lot of this stuff all on its own. And just let the whole thing continue to unfold until, or if, your knuckles can just caress the sand in front of you. Don't push down. Don't push down. And return to the start position. And when I'm working this posture, I start the Ashayana Krystal now at the time that I drop my head. But I don't start the count, and I will assume the posture for a minimum count of 24. So when I'm down here like this, I will actually set around the 24 breaths. And in that particular position, I'm bringing my attention much more closely to the areas of my body that are holding tension. And when I'm down there, I'm directing the breath and the command tone into the areas that are tight. I'm dealing with the jarosh. If the jarosh is trying to get on the pitch and saying, oh, that feels too tight, oh, I don't want to stay down here that long. You make a choice about whether you try to push into a place that is hurting you rather than healing you, and you come out of that. You don't keep yourself in that location for that. Right? So, posture 2. You need to adjust your legs just a little bit, slightly wider stance for this one, just slightly. Oops, wait. Now here, as gracefully as you can, don't worry if you wobble a little bit, but you use the action of the arms to bring the body down into a position where you're looking back up at the upward pointing arm. Keep your legs straight. Now you'll find this be pulling on the inside of your thighs and your hamstrings and behind your knees. So just let the arm running down the calf, just let that hang, even if the knee level, if you can't get beyond it. Just again, allow the natural relationship to the weight in the body just to move itself into a position, its own starting position. And if there's any undue stiffness, just be patient and allow the body to respond to the invitation to assume what appears to be perhaps an advanced posture when you look at the photographs on the cheat sheets. Now at this point you're breathing again, rather like posture 1. You'll be using the Ashayana Krystal now on the way into position, but you make a deal with yourself that when you get to the maximum extension you feel you're capable of, you will hold it just for say 3 or 6 breaths to begin with. If you have any kind of particular stiffness or tightness, you won't say, regardless of your condition, I am going to do 24 when I get there, or I'm going to do 40 when I get there, because you know what you're doing. You're feeding the jarosh, not the jari. You're giving the jarosh all the reasons and the arguments why, when you think about coming out to do your session tomorrow, that you don't really want to do it. You're going, nah, don't want to go there because it hurt yesterday. The idea is to support the jari in its commitment to what they've done. Okay? Now the third one looks very simple. What, beloved? You're okay. Okay. Now she's telling me I'm only doing half a job. So then, you don't need to do the clap again because you're still in the one action now. So you reverse sides the body, go back to the start position. Again, allow the body weight and the movement to be as graceful as you can. Krystal now is go down and in. Just letting the weight move down your calf. Pay attention to the upper shoulder. Don't push, but try and move your arm up into a vertical position as best you can. Plenty of room for improvement and development over time, nothing worry right now. And when you've reached whatever feels like a comfortable degree of extension, just do whatever feels appropriate to you. There is no Mr. or Mrs. Perfection in this. 3 rounds of Ashayana, 6 rounds, whatever. But in that purest little space, that little battleground between the Jarosh and the Jari, try and choose a number that is possibly 1 or 2 breaths beyond the point, beyond your comfort level, without pushing yourself through any pain barriers. But remember that the games exist, and what you want to do is to make slow, steady, persistent progress in what you're doing. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah. The question was, can we start with either side of the body? Can we rotate the body this way or that way? And the answer is yes, you can do it whichever way it feels natural. So, if you just stand for a minute, can you pat it up? I can't hear. Okay, maybe I didn't spend enough time talking about this. At the point earlier, I said, for example, that the minute that I drop my head and allow the body weight to unfold my stiff and horizontal back, I start to use the Ashayana Krystal now, but personally choose instead to wait to do my count in the posture when I'm in it, when I'm fully in it. So you see, the thing is that by using Ashayana Krystal now, you're beginning to focus and work on the energetic channels that spins and flows. The minute you start to engage that, you're amping that process. But in terms of setting yourself a realizable target, I refer to doing a 24 breath count personally, whereas yours may be 3, 6, 12 or whatever. And it's just something I decided to do. This is not a directive. This is not an absolute thing. The purpose of having a relationship with this stuff is that you can actually choose combinations by using the ingredients that suit your circumstance. Okay? And the last point I was making was to remember the game, the polarization game, where the breath count that you set for yourself, don't use a breath count the first time you work with this. Get your body in the position, understand what it's saying to you, and between you and it, come to a decision. It thinks it can only do 4. You do a deal and say, okay, we'll work on 6, fine, because you're just trying to move it a couple of breaths beyond the point that the Jarosh is prepared to go, whereas the Jari will go another mile. And that's what we do, don't we? All of us. We're willing to go the extra mile. But the point is, don't hurt yourself because you need to rest up for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. And you just lose all of the potential, all the momentum that you're trying to create. Now, this posture looks very simple and almost silly. in a way, in the context. But it works very well when you go into the stretch, when you're lying on the floor, and the stand may drag on our bodies a little bit. But what you're looking for when you go into the lie down position at this point is that you need to allow the lower part of the spine to lift. So you start to feel your butt cheeks about here starting to rise off the ground. Not a lot, a little bit. And that is the full extension, and it's really quite an easy one to do. Now again, I begin the Rasha here at Krystal now when I'm coming into this position, but I only do my round count. When I'm in the full extension. Okay? So, very simply and quickly, we get ourselves down on the floor like so. And the moment that we begin to raise our palms, we start Rasha Ira on the inhale, Krystal on the exhale, just bring the arms in slowly up over the head until the backs of the hands are lying on the floor, and you feel the pull begin in the lower spine around the pelvic girdle, and the lift and the slide up towards your head that the butt cheeks are beginning to do. And there you'll do whatever round you're working with, whether it's 6, 12, 24, whatever. And when you've completed the round of breaths, just bring your arms back up, back down to the side of your hips. Straight knees. Okay, you're going to just stand because the next posture is a sitting one. So you come out now, okay? And you sit with your legs crossed in front of you. And it doesn't matter whether your right leg is in the front or your left leg is in the front. But all I say to you is that the correct alignment in this particular move is where the shin is running straight across the front of the body. We don't want your ankles pulled right up under you towards your back in any way. You need to have your ankles out in front of your body a little ways, where the shin is more or less straight across the front. Okay, right angles to where your body's facing. Yeah, we don't need to pull feet up into our groins or anything. Your ankles are just sitting just down in front of you with the leading leg running straight across the front. Nice and free, not too tight. The legs not pulled in tight on each other. Okay, the left leg is not really doing anything, it's just hanging there behind the leading leg. And just pay attention to that position. Now, this is the posture where working with the breath is helpful in a slightly different way. So if you put your palms on the floor in front of you, just in a natural way you can reach position. Okay? Just like plop them down so your forearms are touching your shins as you put them down there. Now, the way that I use the breath in this particular posture, and you can use your own approach if you like, but from this moment I use Rasha Ira. I stand out in rounds of 3. So the first round of 3, and I'm going to 24 with this one, with you now. And if you can't go to 24, just stop. So the first round, Rasha Ira, Rasha Ira, Rasha Ira. like that. And at the end of the first group of 3, I'll walk my fingers out to a new point ahead of me and do another round of 3. So that's the first 2 of 3, that's 6. I walk my hands out a palm width again, and I do 3 more. And then I move my hands out another palm width. So you see what I'm doing is I'm using my hands to take a little bit of weight. I'm using the breath to support the posture and the progression through it. So I'm on 12 now. Now I'll tell you this, that I can't actually reach full extension by the time I'm working 24, and I don't push it that hard. So I'll take another step forward with my hand, and now I'm on the 15th breath. And another step with my hand, and I'm getting close to my limit now. And this is the 18th. I'm paying attention to what my body's doing. I'm looking at the tightness in my lower back, across my pelvic girdle, in my butt cheeks. I'm breathing into those areas as I'm doing this. I come to the end of this round of 3 and I say, yeah, body, are you willing and able to take 1 more? And we say yes. So we go, right now we're out there now. And at this point we're on breath 21. And I'm deciding that it's not appropriate to ask the body for any more. So we'll just do the final set of 3 right now. And then, having completed the 24, use your fingers just to walk. This is not being wet and weedy. Just walk your body back up. This is being graceful. Bring your body back up. It's done what you've asked it to do. You can help it to go back to where it was. I did, yeah. And you would just allow your head to drop as you're moving forward. Okay, you're not pushing from as if you put your hand behind your head. You're not pushing it. But all of the postures have this thing in common where you allow the body just to move naturally under its own weight. Any body part that has to move, by and large, you want it to move under its own weight and with your own encouragement. So you walk your body back up so that your upper torso is upright. Now, if you watch what I'm doing, to retain the grace of the entire movement, is when you walk yourself up, just let your palms come up on your kneecaps and just lean back so that your legs start to come up and open. And at that point, like that, you can change leg positions. So you bring your legs back into the position of changing the leading leg. Just look down to make sure that your shin is running more or less straight across your body. Okay, you don't have to do the clap at this point. Hands down, just where they fall in front of you. Begin your first 3. And when you've done your first 3, just walk your palms out 1 palm width away. Do the second 3. And then progress like that. When you finish the 6th, just walk your palms out another palm width. And do 7, 8, and 9. And continue like that until you feel that the balance between the jari and the jarosh is in favor of the jari. Allow yourself to wait in that position, complete your 24 breaths. You can do what you like. You would work through each posture one by one. If the kind of if the natural body capacity is to work through the breath count at 24, 48, whatever like that, or if you want to work through everything one time, 12 or 24 breaths, going through all 12 postures and then come back to the beginning and do that over again, that's a personal choice. It's not a have to do. No. No. That's right. I mean, in that particular regard, the full benefit and value exists in the climax. The climax of the posture. When you're able to move the body into a further extension, when you're successfully breathing into places of tightness, that is really what we're focusing on, because that's the place where the channel clearing, the spins and flows are meeting a point of resistance. And that is the goal. The goal is to increase capacities in all those ways. And you do that on the breath, and you do that through the extension count, not the number of breaths you're doing. Next one is one of the slightly more muscular ones where you have to use some muscles rather than the weight of the body. And this is designed as a prelude to the count. No, that's not the count. I can't remember this one. But it's really actually the position of the low, the position of the microphone. Keep your mouth shut. The important thing here is to have your arms about 10 to 12 inches from your nose. Either hand should be about a foot away from your nose, and just about level with the corners of your eyes, so that they're not down here by your shoulders, they're a little bit forward, alongside your ears, alongside your eyes, that kind of place. And then you push up gently on the arms, so you straighten your arms. Push up. Do a straight arm extension. Go there. Well, alright. You do it, I'll watch. Okay, so go back to the beginning position. It's fine now. Okay. So just begin to push up. Straighten the arms slowly. Push chin up. And allow the weight, nothing else, the weight of your lower torso just to create a progression in which your pubic bone begins to approach and make contact, if it does, with the floor or with the sand. Now, here's another example where you use the Rasha press down. From the minute you started the arm extension. But in terms of working with a count, you begin your count only when you have your arms straight, not locked, not overlocked, which is dangerous, but put it down straight. And when you're allowing the body weight to push down on the pelvis, that's when you begin your count. Now, this is one particular posture when I was recovering from the pseudo disc problem, where I found it was much more beneficial for me initially to work with a 6 count, and here I did a repetition of 4 to make my 24. And progressively you find that the lower back opens up, the pelvic bone does approach the ground quite quickly. So that within a matter of 3 or 4 weeks, it would be unlikely if you did this most days that you couldn't go to 24 breath count fully as one rep. And way of swinging your lower body up to get into that position. And when you bring yourself up where your knees are hovering above your forehead, or if you're very lucky, touching them, at that point, in order to complete the movement, it's really important to get your shoulders in the correct position. Because if you just curl up from the position you're in, lying on the floor, when you want to do the extension with the legs over the head, you'll find that your shoulders are in the wrong place. Yeah, and it won't facilitate the full opening of the position. So I would recommend that when you bring your knees up over your forehead in the first half of the movement, that's the time to wriggle about, use your elbows and hands, just push yourself up onto the top part, not this part, but the upper part with the shoulder blades in back, okay, rather than working from much lower down at the upper back, because it will make the whole swing feel a lot tighter, and it will tend to make it feel less pleasant. Right. 2 things.
One of them is with this one, especially if you're not used to stretching out or up here. Be really careful not to push yourself and find, oh yeah, I can do that right now, and you will. Well, you'll regret it tomorrow, right? Gentle is the key. And another thing, as far as the shoulder positions that I was talking about, if you get yourself up there and you got your knees up pointing around your forehead, and you're finding it hard to breathe, as if your lungs are feeling compacted, that's when you need to start readjusting the position of your shoulders to try to rotate up a little bit higher. And then the breathing will ease a bit before you go into the final extension. And this is when you can, if you push it, you can really hurt yourself, both top and bottom of the spine. You can spasm on you, and you can get yourself an injury that takes a month to get over. So just be real gentle with it. It's alright if you feel a little tension, but don't push past that tension just because you know you can. Because if you push past it without gently moving the body to death, you can really end up with an injury. So please be careful with it. Especially if you're not used to stretching out in all directions.
I just love it, you know. I only had 2 points remaining. Two and a half. What I was going to point out to you, that the area that is most vulnerable is right here. If you push too hard, in other words, when you move from the knees hanging over and if your calves and feet are pointing upward, more or less, right? From that point, when you bring the lower legs over your head, that's the point where you're allowing the body weight to do the work. You're not pushing yourself in any way, and if you do, the first thing that will happen, you will pull or tear a muscle in here. Mark my words. We've both done it. Okay? That is the first place where you'll find that you'll feel it, the tightness in there, and you can even almost feel the muscles. If you approach a point that the body doesn't want to go beyond, they're the muscles that will start shouting at you. And please take heed of that, because you will tear in here first if you don't do anything. Yeah. Yeah, I think Ash is talking about the breathing. Of all the postures that put you in a position where your relationship with breathing, composure, confidence, and mental direction, when you roll up and you find you can your chest, you got all your body, there is even panic potential, because it interferes with the natural breathing circulation. And this, quite rightly, as Ash is asking me to talk about a bit more, is one of the postures where you're going to have to do a little bit more work. You're going to have to pay attention to what parts of your body need to be readjusted, as she was saying earlier, right? And if necessary, to have a conversation with yourself about what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, if you need to do that, but where you're actually being nursemaid almost to the breathing mechanism, so it doesn't lose confidence, it doesn't feel choked tight, it doesn't feel threatened. And there's a whole area where, let's say, past life memories that involve choking and an inability to breathe, right? Where you can encounter some bleed through about why you feel fear when you put yourself willingly in a position of this kind of constriction. All right. Now that will be your own journey. All I can do is say, hey, this kind of thing can happen. This is the kind of thing you need to do. There is no need to panic. You can stop the posture just a second that you feel really uncomfortable and go back to the point. But if you can understand it better while you're in it and make the adjustments, whether mental or physically you want to do that, then it will be very beneficial, because you're going to be coming out of the situation with a multitude of benefits. So, oh, hang on, we got some incoming. I got some incoming. Yes?
Just one more thing. I found this very, very useful. When you're first going up into the position, there's the graceful way, and there's the just get there way. If graceful doesn't work at first because you don't have enough core strength in the muscles up through here and in your abdomen, just use your hands to gently push your butt up into the air. I found that works pretty well. Eventually you'll be able to just roll your bottom up as forward, but if you can't do that, it doesn't matter how big your bottom is, just gently kind of push it up until you can get it where it's up in the air. I had to do that for I go up into it, so I thought that might be helpful. Some people weren't used to being upside down on a regular basis.
I don't know what it is that is making like it's loose, but okay, welcome. Yeah. Still. We're not there. We're there? There is something wrong with our electronics, so if I... Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we start out live. Hands by yourself. I know, most of them already go into position anyway. So draw your feet up towards your butt, so your knees are bent. With your feet that, well, the soles of your feet still on the floor. And this is the point where you've got to get your knees up over your forehead. So you've got to chuck the lower body up or push it up with your hands. Get a quick swing off the ankles, bring them up. Yeah. You're going to hang your knees over your forehead or allow your forehead to touch, your knees to touch your forehead. This is the position where you need to check on where your shoulders are, and I would recommend you do a little wriggle so you move your body weight much further up your shoulders before you attempt the extension. You just wiggle your shoulder part, that's right. So you're distributing the weight more towards the top part of your shoulders, and at that point begin to straighten the legs slowly and allow the weight of your thighs, your calves and your feet. Try and keep your legs straight even if they don't drop very far. Just gently let your body unwind in this position. I can see one or two bodies that are suffering because they haven't made the shoulder adjustment. They're bending from below the shoulder blade. A couple of the guys are bending from below the shoulder blade. And it's going to hurt you if you do it like that. You need to move your body weight up towards the top, wriggle it out. Yeah. You'll find it be much, much more pleasant, much easier to do. But if you try and do this curl from the upper middle part of your body, A, you won't succeed, and B, you're likely to pull a muscle. Sorry? Yeah. So you just... Now again, this is a tricky position in terms of it's one of the positions where if you're going to do yourself any body damage, this is one that will do it if you try and push it too far. But whatever count you're going to use on the breath, 6 or 12, this is one where you break it down and be patient. Just do 6 and come back to the fully flat position. If you're inclined to roll up again and do another 6, that approach is much better than saying, well, the deal I've made with myself is to do 24 breaths or 12 breaths, whatever, and that's what I'm going to do. Because you're using the mind in a way that is not actually supportive and it isn't really very sensitive to the vulnerabilities of the body that it's trying to cooperate with. So just unroll now, come back to flat on the floor. Right. All right. Now this is the second of 3 postures where there is a little bit of muscular activity going on. We start by sitting with our arms at 45 degrees behind us, palms or fingertips facing away from your back. And this is one where there aren't any lead up breaths because you basically come up into position like this, chin, pushing chin back, pushing tummy and pelvis up, and you count from here on your cycle of breath, 6, 12, 24, just holding the position, chin back, pushing the butt up in the air. So you create a slightly concave spine. And when you've completed your breath count, just lower your butt slowly and gracefully. continuing to sit. We now prepare to do what is called the cow. Now, because this could get interesting. All right, we're sitting here with our feet and toes is out front. Okay, using your right hand, grasp your right leg just above the ankle and slide that leg, that calf, and the heel just so it comes. You just have to raise your butt just a little bit. This is not a posture where you need to have the heel stuck up your unmentionables. You just need to bring your heel just so that you have to just lean over a little bit so it comes up under and then sit back down on it. We don't need any tights in this particular one. Now, having done that, use your left hand or your right. Just put your hand behind the left knee and just lift the leg up so it bends, and then bring the left heel and lower left calf so it's touching. It's resting on the knee. It's resting over the right knee. Now you can take your hands away, just adjust it a little bit. You can take your hands away and everything stays where it needs to be. You don't have to work at holding your legs in position from this point, okay? Don't pull anything in too tight. Just make sure that the contact with the left calf over the right knee is sufficient just for the friction to hold the legs just like that. So we should be sitting now in a really relaxed position before we go into the one that isn't so much. Now, people who experience tightness when we begin to move the arms to come to the clasp here would be working initially with a belt. So you have if you can't get to the finger clasp, you can't do this right off. But when you do this at home, you would use a belt. And you simply have it in one hand, you take the right over the back of the head, drop the belt behind you, so the left hand can grasp it, and you just tighten that. You then tighten the relationship just a little bit, just pull it in, just walk it in with your fingers. You're not trying to pop anything in your back. But you come into a position where you have the clasp. If you can, you would adjust your elbow, the right elbow, so it's actually sitting on the back of your head. So it comes into a kind of a friction position, like the leg is over the knee. And it just sits over the back of the head if you can manage to get it in there. And at that point, if you're going to do a count now, if you're counting your 6 or 12 or 24, you would lower the forehead now down to the top of the knee. If it doesn't touch the top of the knee straight away, don't worry. Another time, it eventually will. But just drop the forehead down towards the top of the left knee now, and allow the body to unwind while you do your breathing, while you check out what's reacting, what's talking back to you, what's feeling tight. Just breathe into it all. Let the body weight move everything down towards the top of your knee. Don't push through it. It isn't necessary. Done, just raise your body, just allow your fingers to come apart gently, and just move slowly back. And again, as you change position, just bring your palms up onto the front of your left knee, just lean back, just open the body position, slide the lower leg out, like that. And then having done that, as before, slide the left heel in under the right butt, just lean slightly, just so the weight of your body helps the left leg stay in position. Again, pick up the right leg, just bring it across the kneecap, place it so there's sufficient friction to hold that in position. And you just sit like this and nothing's going to move. And you bring, again, your hands up. Everyone has a stiff side and everyone has a looser side. And you sometimes have to work your knuckles up through your back. You need to walk it up there to get the fingertips touching if you can, and then finally walk it some more until you can get a grip. Join the fingertips or use the belt, And repeat. Just let the head drop down towards the right knee. Don't push it. Pay attention to the breathing and important parts of the body that are talking to you. Breathe specifically into those parts patiently and in a relaxed manner. Don't push or pull anything anymore than the natural posture is asking you to do. So just unwind the body again. Just clasp your palms on your right knee. Just lean back on it so everything comes apart really easily. Left palm on your left knee. Just lean back. Use the weight just to open it out like that. Remain in this position, please. And what we're going to do is to go back to the very first position. So bring your right heel under your left butt. Help your left leg get in position over the knee. And this is a lovely twisting one where it challenges you to choose a point that is not too far from the standpoint of injury or pulling muscles, but at the same time it's not a kind of a flopsy, you have to take responsibility for some of this, and you choose a point that is actually providing the twisting sensation. So you bring now your right arm over, so your elbow is up above your knee, over your thigh. Your left arm goes out behind you, and if you just pay attention to your left arm and the relationship to your back, move it around the back, and you can feel where the tension point begins. Fingers just above the ground, and you're going to let your palm engage and anchor there. And from that point, then you take your head, and your head now follows where your left arm just went. And this posture requires you to just gently twist the upper torso, very, very gently, through the action of the head, looking back as far as it can over the left shoulder. You do your count, or start your count once you've reached the start position. You can count into the position, but if you're using breath as a counting mechanism, you begin counting your 6 or 12 or 24 from this point. But when you're done, and I don't do this just because I'm old, just use the right palm on the outside of your left knee and just support the body coming back. You're not asking it to do things, it doesn't have to do this. And then your left palm under your left knee, just lift the knee up and help it come out of the position. Right knee on the right kneecap, just help that come out of position. And then the reverse, where we bring the left heel just a little bit under the butt. The right leg up and over, so the ankle is restrained by the knee with a little bit of friction. Bring your right arm out, and again, feel for that point as you're moving out before you make contact with the ground, because you're going to lock your body here. Put your palm down, and the point where you just feel a little bit of tightness, a little bit of stretch. Bring your left arm over your right side, and then use the head to move into the posture. And begin your count. And just keep steady pressure. Don't push any further. Just keep steady pressure and wait for the body to respond, which it will. And you find that slowly but surely the rotation will increase and develop by a degree or two at a time. And that's what we're looking for. And remain in seated position, please. And keeping the left leg straight out in front of you, grasp your lower right leg with your right hand and use your right hand to bring your right leg up so that your heel is up in the upper thigh and lower crotch area. Okay, and just have it be like that, so your shin should be more or less at right angles to the direction of your body. You don't want it pointing back in under your bum. It just needs to be in far enough so it's horizontal. That's just really a nice balanced position. No overexertion in that area because you don't want it there. Take your left hand and just lay it down in the center of your shin. Just its natural length. Okay? Bring your right hand and cover the back of your left. Alright. Now, you remember the posture 2 when I was talking about walking your palms out? Well, this is one of those postures where it would be advisable to use the same methodology. So, if you're doing a 12 or a 24 count, you do your first 3 just right here. Totally relaxed. Got my wrist. Oh, where's Canute? Anybody seen Canute? None of you know who Canute is, do you? Okay. Well, anyway, he was the geezer who thought he could send the tide back, and he didn't succeed. So anyway. Then I guess we'll be backed up. Okay, so wherever your palm sits on your shin, first 3 breaths. Second 3, just extend, lean into the shin, don't push, lean. Bring your body weight behind your arms and allow that weight transfer to move your palms down your shin. This isn't about pushing, except where muscles are required. Do your second 3. Again, drop your head now, more so. Allow the weight to move your palm further down the shin towards the ankle, if you're not already there. And there's no shame in that if you're not. Do your third 3, do the same again. Allow your head to drop more fully. Your upper torso is applying weight down the arm. Move down to the 10, 11, 12 breath. And continue to do this now. And if you find this is too tight, just do what I suggested before. Do 3 or 4 reps, just only 6 breaths. Each time just pay attention to how much more your body opens. Even if it's by ½ an inch, you will find that you will come to trust your body to respond to what you're asking it to do. And if you can move your hand down your shin ½ an inch a week, where you're reaching what you think is the limit of your extension, you're making very, very nice progress, thank you. And you're not to beat yourself up if you don't find it unwinds like that. You just need to be patient. Breathe into the areas of your body that are feeling tight.
Get really good at it. You can actually put your nose on your knee.
Absolutely.
Rest your forehead on your
And our mobile demonstrator here is talking about fancy things like being able to get your nose on your knee. Really. But that is what you can achieve. Fairly said and without joking. And you bring your right leg out just by using your right palm and just leaning back and letting that graceful retrieval of the leg happen. And then reverse. Bring your left heel in, upper thigh, not all the way up here behind, just so the shin is making that correct 90-degree angle. Right leg out in front. Just extend your right arm once more, naturally. Let it drop on your shin, cover it with your left, That's the first round of 3 breaths, that position. So go through your 3 there. Allow your chins to drop towards your Ah-LEi. Just let the body weight move you. An inch or so down the shin, whatever it comes to is fine. Do your second 3. For the extension, just let the body weight fall forward. Chins down, touching the skin of the upper chest area. And continue until you feel complete. Now, a little thing that the body will do in this position, you'll find, and you may not notice it, but it tends to want to cheat. And what that means is it will actually contract the muscles behind the knee, and actually, without you noticing necessarily, it will have you working with a bent knee, and you don't. You need to pay attention to the flatness, relative flatness. You need your leg to be as comfortably straight as it can be, and watch it, because it will creep back. It will start bending, and you're so into the posture with your hands down your shin you won't even notice. But part of the benefit from the point of view of channel clearing and the chakras that exist in the knee, behind the knee, that this is one of the target areas in this one. And having it cheat on you, so to speak, is the jarosh taking you on the blind side. And you don't want that to happen. If it means you've got to live with your hands just below your kneecap for a week or 2, so be it. But the actual positioning of the body as regards that particular location is an important thing. And be patient and be kind to yourself. You're already being supremely kind by even sitting down wearing silly clothes. Why worry? Why worry about some of these details of what the pictures look like and what the mags are showing you and all? This is a personal relationship. You're doing it not just for you, but you're doing it on all life forms that depend on you. And there's a huge dignity and grace in getting that far. Don't worry about the other stuff. It'll come if it needs to come. All right. Now our third and final muscular position requires us to sit legs out straight. It's better just to support the upper body with the hands slightly behind the body. I know, I forgot that time.
It took me 6 months to get there.
This took 6 months to actually do it all. Okay. So you're supporting like this, and there are different ways of going into it, and you can explore how it works for you. But with you just supporting upper body, you can do this to begin, and then come to this start position, and then you go here. And this is the time you count from that point, and you do your round if it's 6 or 12 or 24.
It's easier if you bring your knees up first and tilt back.
Ash is saying that she finds it easier to bring her knees up, tilt back, and then do that. I have never entered the posture that way. And you know, the thing is that you can.
So just in case you have a problem with this one like I did.
The thing is that how you get into the positions is something that you can work out is the most comfortable and successful way to do it. Ash is demonstrating precisely that point from her own perspective. I've never done it this way. But she's found that has been part of her own success, her own persistence, and has reached the point now where she can hold that position really very well with a lot of body strength now.
It's easier than doing this where it wants to drag you forward.
Yeah. And you will find that once you've continued for a time, you know, you can go straight to that without bending anything or doing anything. You just go straight there because you've developed just that little bit of body strength that enables you to go straight up and just hold it. So let's do one round of this then. So we came to start position. You've seen some options about how you get your feet off the ground and your upper body balancing, so you're presenting a nice V shape. You bring your arms out, everyone brings their arm out horizontally, and back in behind the head. In the early stages, you'll find your elbows want to come around here like horse blinkers or something, you know. And don't worry, just notice that they shouldn't be there, and just, you know, say, hey, come on, you know, we need to be more this way, more this way. And at first, you find it will be quite difficult to do for some people, but eventually you'll find you'll be able to go into that part where you're really, able to push your shoulder blades towards each other in back here. But that isn't something that's going to happen day 1, week 2. Just to let it be okay, know where you're headed, know where you want to go, and take yourself there by little steps, because lots of little steps will get you where you want to go. Okay? What is better? 100 girls take 1 step forward, or 1 girl takes 100? I choose 100 girls taking 1. Try stop them. Don't worry. That's fine. And if you roll over on your back, that's fine too, because the next time you try, that won't happen. Just let it be okay. Have a little giggle with yourself. Keep your humour there. Be amused and pleased and proud of what you're doing. When you get fancy. When you get really good, sure you would. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have such a bad relationship with my toes that when we're doing the photography, they have to do it over again. My toes are on my nose. Okay. And finally the tree. AKA the Merkaba spin speed Merkaba balancing posture. Okay, you know what it looks like. Okay, let's choose the female side of things. Left arm out. Right palm on lower shin, lifting leg up. Deposit leg inside of thigh. Use the friction to hold the sole of the foot in position in your thigh, using your left arm mostly and your right arm sometimes to get yourself in balance. Your stand is going to make this a lot more difficult because it's uneven and tends to move. At this point, raise, palms, clasp your fingers. First fingers pointing up. And at this point, you do your round count of 6, 12, 24, 48, depending on, how fancy you are. It's helpful to pick a spot in front of you. The sound is rather bland, but if you can focus on a bump or a hollow or something like that, it will help you with it. And the really far out stage of this particular posture is when you can do this with your eyes closed. And I can tell you now that I can't. I completely fall out of my Merkaba when I close my eyes. But I have a deal with myself. One day, before I slide or slip away, I will bloody do it with my eyes closed.
It is weird. Even if you get there and close your eyes,
yeah,
it throws your balance off.
It really does, yeah.
How weird is that?
Yeah. And so to complete this part of the session, and thank you all for your patience and attention, do the other leg.
Yeah.
Just change sides now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But let me know we're not done yet. The Yanas part comes.
I will.
We'll go faster though.
Yes.
That's what the questions are.
Well, beloveds, that's part 1A. Part 1B. Oh, wait, sure. Thank you again.
I got a cheat because I don't have the Hello. I've not done any exercises ever with a thingy on my head talking to people, just so you know. So I'm a little odd with this, sorry. I'll get better at it. This corresponds to what is called the Yanas part of the Logayanas. As they're called the Logas. I love Logas for one reason. They're the most perfect way to get intimately in touch with visual contact with every roll of fat anywhere on your body that you never even knew you had. You just really get to have a really intimate encounter. Not to mention every stiff muscle, joint, bone, etc. The more you do them, the more flexible you do get. These, the Yanas parts, they're a little bit different. With the Logas part, it takes a while to do them. You tend to move slowly. You're focusing on the breath, all of this. These two, the Yanas, they're called breathing stretches, but they're done a little bit more dynamically. And for ones that you're doing something on one half of the body, you would hold for do the posture and hold it for 6 breaths. If it's something that is just one posture the whole body does, you'd hold it for 12 breaths. But they move a little bit more fluidly as far as they don't take as long to do. And you'll find this with a lot of the arrayas. These are also, Logayanas are considered arrayas as well as the ones we'll be doing in the next few days. They're all meant to be able to be done within a half an hour, like each one. Some of them go with the top body part, some of the middle, some of the bottom. Some of them you may find a little bit challenging. You can see the positions in the charts as we were aiming for. So the idea with any of these is to move through it gently. Eventually all of these, you would actually use them as almost like a Tai Chi set, where you would go from one set, do the breathing, and into the other, do the breathing, and into the other. So you're actually moving fluidly. It would be done like a Tai Chi set. But first, get to where you can handle each one of the postures. The ones that I think the one that's hardest for me, and I'm still struggling to do it, is number 10, where you actually stand up straight. You have your hands on your hips, and you stick a leg out straight and hold it, and then you bend the other knee. Right. That takes a bit of muscle development. I'm just. Some of these, the standing ones, when you're at home or doing it, where if you can lean on something, a counter or a sturdy chair or something like that, just to help you get into the posture. Once you get into it, it'll actually help you build muscle strength just holding it. So if you're not particularly graceful getting into it in the first place, just getting there and holding it, even if you have to balance it first on something, that will help develop the muscle strength involved. So eventually you'll find you can do it in a simple, easy motion, which I'm not there yet either. So anyway, we'll start these. They will go faster. The first 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, actually, first 3 have to do with the upper part of the body, and then number 4 has to do with the entire spine and creating flexibility. Numbers 1 is one that you do 6 breaths on one side, 6 breaths on the other. Doesn't matter which side you start. Number 2 is one that it's just a full body because both arms are doing the same thing at the same time. Number 3 again is one part, 6 breaths on left, 6 breaths on right. And number 4 is again just full body. So I'll take them from from there, and we'll just move through them. I'm going to try to move you through the sequence without a break in between and discussing each one. I'll try to narrate as I go. I'm just getting used to how to teach this over the microphone as well as do it myself to demonstrate, as was good at that one. Let's see if I can handle it. Okay, number one is very simple. It stretches out the whole upper shoulder area, not to mention the muscles in through here. So you just put your arms up in the air and palm on elbow, both sides, right? And then you inhale, and then on the exhale, bend to one side. And hold, and do 6 just regular breaths. And after 6, come back up to the center, and then inhale, hold for a sec, and then exhale into the motion, and 6 breaths on the other side. And then back up. And then from there, we would move to posture 2. Just take the arms up, bring them down and back into back of you, and in back of you, clasp your palms together, and then inhale and hold for a second. And then on the exhale, push the arms up as far as is comfortable. It'll get further every time you do this. And then breathe. This one's a 12 breath, if you can do it. If you can't, lower them. If they start to hurt, lower them a little bit. Lower them a little bit. Eventually, you'll be able to do completely straight arms and almost completely out, at a 90-degree angle to your back. But first, even if you're down here, that's okay. Or even if you're like down here, that's okay. You don't force it, but with all of the Yanas parts of the local Yanas, you would inhale on the passive and exhale into the motion. All right, so you're actually using the breath to push energy into supporting the muscles and things into the motion. Okay, now I can bring it out of number 2 and into number 3. This is one you do on each side for 6 breath count. You start with whichever side you want. I'll start with just saying left, because I start with left because I'm left-handed. Stick your left arm out. Stick your right arm underneath it. We're almost where the left arm sits in the crook of the elbow of the right arm. And then bring the right hand up vertical to where it's like where the tip of the fingers are pointing to the sky. Inhale and hold a sec. And then the motion as you exhale is push toward the right. Using the vertical hand to actually bring the tension of the shoulder. This opens the shoulders and opens across the back as well. Once you're in as far as you can extend to the side position, then do 6 breaths. If it starts to hurt, ease back a little on the tension. And then simply rotate back out of it and bring it to the other side, where you put the other arm up straight, the right arm up straight. The left arm comes up under. Right arm sits in the crook of the elbow of the left. Fingers of the left pointing to the sky. And then we use the arm, the vertical arm, to pull gently as we're inhale and then exhale into motion, pulling it gently toward the left shoulder to wherever it's comfortable. Eventually you can get a very, very large rotation with this. Once you're in full extension, breathe gently 6 times. And then rotate back out. And then next, you take the arms, put them up over your head, lock the thumbs together, palms pointing forward. Spread your feet about a little bit more than a ruler, or 12 inches apart, where they're a bit in a V configuration. Okay. Then try to feel your abs. I don't know if anybody knows their abdominal muscles yet. Some people will, other people won't. Try, first of all, to contract your bum cheeks. Squeeze your butt together. And then next, try to squeeze the lower abs a bit, right? And really make a solid grounding right in through here. You've got muscle tension holding here, right? Here and the butt cheeks. You're up here. And try not to lock your knees. Leave them a little bit flexible. And then inhale and hold for a second. And then gently move yourself back into an arch, as far back as is comfortable. You can bend your knees a bit, but try to keep the tension in the butt cheeks and in the lower abs. Once you get to your comfortable extension, you can breathe here 6 times. Or if it's too painful here, you can just bring the whole thing forward and do the 12 forward, whichever works for you, but ideally 6 backward and 6 forward will work. Next is move forward in a gentle fluid motion. Bring the hands down, the arms down, fold up. Fold up as if you're a piece of paper, folded in half. You can spread your feet a little wider if they aren't wide enough to do this. But as you go down, you can get to the point where your head is actually between your feet and where your hands, the palms of your hands, are actually on the floor. Don't force that right away. Start with bringing yourself down, touch your fingertips to the floor in front of your face, in front of your head. And then start moving yourself gently backwards. But notice we're not taking a lot of time of, breathing consciously into each move. You can do that if you need to, but these are meant to be done a little bit more rapidly. So you can breathe into it if you need to, but the objective eventually is to move it back where you can keep the palms of your hands on the floor as they move back between your feet, and then the palms move back even further to almost where the tips of your fingers are back behind your heels. And at that point, your head would be almost in between your feet. You don't harm yourself with this. Again, you might just be getting this far, and that's okay. Even if you can't touch the ground yet, that's okay. All right? But if you build a little bit each day, and inhale and then exhale into the motion, right? That will progressively stretch the axiotonal lines and the meridian lines and the muscles. So you'll get to where you can do that. All right. The next one, and eventually, like I said, we will be doing these in successive motion, where you just move from one posture to the next, like you do in Tai Chi. But start here, where you learn the postures. We're what? You can keep your knees slightly bent in this one. Yeah. In most exercises, it's better to keep your knees slightly bent, because when you lock the knees, you really can injure yourself, both the knees and in back of them as well. So somebody had asked a question, I was just answering that one about the knees. Now this one, we would go down, and eventually you'll develop your own style. When you're moving from posture to posture, that's where you kind of let your own jari come through, and let it move you the way it wants to, but move it consciously, right? When you're moving from posture to posture, say when you're going from down here, the next one is going to be going down where our bum is on the floor, right on the ground. So you'd say, come up. Make it almost like a dance, right? Whatever feels right to you. There's no, you have to do this or that. When we go into the next movement, we're going to go down on the ground. All right? Whatever feels like the graceful flow of going down on the ground. If every move you actually think about as a movement in a dance, all right? And this is actually part of the mindfulness training, that we learn to go through a whole day like that. Every time you pick up a cup, every time you turn on a faucet or use the bathroom, every movement, conscious as a dance, because life is a dance. This gives you a whole different relationship with your jari and your embodied consciousness. It also begins to help you develop a very deep control, and not forceful control, but cooperative control between your body and your conscious mind. So the next pose, we go, find a gentle way. This is going to be fun because I can't curl up with that sticking in me. Okay. We're going to roll up backward. And I'm on my shoes, excuse me. And curl up. And just breathe 6 breaths into the curl. Curl up as tightly as you can. conscious transition, we're going to do the reverse movement by coming up, putting the hands on the ankles, and extending as far as you can go. And eventually you'll get to the point where you can kiss your knees. But don't force that yet. The idea is to be able to stretch. You don't need to stretch your arms out past, your hands out past your toes. Just let the elbows kind of relax with your hands on your hands on your ankles, elbows bent, and just try to bring the head down as far as you can to where you could eventually kiss your knees. You'd be surprised that if you do this for like 2 weeks, you'll get about twice as far as when you first start. So it's not as hard as it might seem. And again, once you're in the position, just breathe 6 simple breaths into that position. And then it'll be moving back out of the position again. And this one is a lifesaver, at least for me it has been. It is one of the greatest ways to release tension in the tailbone area and to really loosen up the mobility in the lower spine. A lot of times when you're doing some of the other exercises or even the Logas, the body starts holding tension in certain places, and one of them for me has always been the lower back. This one has saved me. I've actually heard like cracks and pops when I do it. It's a gentle one. It's not meant to, you don't force this, right? You just go to where it's comfortable, and this one you do more slowly, because you'll actually, if you do it too quickly, you can actually, your muscles will rip before you realize it, and you're, oh no, ow, and then you're stuck, right? Because really, if your muscle rips when you get into that, you're not going to get back out of it easily. So the idea is to gently release the tension. And what we do on this one is you lay on your back. You can do either leg first, but I'm going to use the left. And this is another one of those dyslexia wonders where you got parts of you going in one direction and parts are going in the other. Okay, so you'd raise your, I got my shoes again, excuse me. Raise your left leg to where the knee is pointing up and the leg is straight out. Okay. Then take your right hand and arm and put the hand on the outside part of the left knee. This is going to be your pushing hand. You're actually, when we get into the action, are going to push the left knee gently toward the right side. Now before we do that, we're going to now take the left hand and arm, extend the left arm out to the side, parallel with stick it out directly from your shoulder, and turn your head and where you're facing the left arm. Now we will inhale and hold for a sec. Exhale into the motion gently and slowly. And the motion is you're going to rotate your hips with the hand, the right hand pushing the left knee gently toward the right side. And you're going to exhale into it. Bring the knee over and try to hold. You're holding your spine, like pretty, not stiff, rigid, but, quite straight. And just bringing the knee over in the same motion. You're not moving the shape of the knee and leg relationship. And try to keep looking over at your left hand while the knee is going to the right. Once you're in a comfortable level of that, eventually you'll get where you can completely rotate over and you've got your neck is completely looking out at your hand on the left side, and the knee is actually touching the floor. Don't force that, because you can really hurt yourself if you force that. Once you're here, just breathe gently into it for a 6 count. I use this one to release any tension that builds up in my back. This really helps to release it, and you'll actually sometimes feel like little pops and things that happen, just little ones, but actually that release the tension. And then gently rotate back after the 6th breath. And then do it on the other side, where put your left leg down, bring your right leg up, okay. Take your left hand, palm to the outside of the right knee, to the side, and face the right side. Turn your head to face the right side. Inhale, hold a second, and then rotate and exhale. Rotate the right knee over to the left side while keeping as much of the facing with your neck and face facing the right side as you can. And again, just rotate it. Kind of lift your butt off the floor in the back. You just rotate it over. Once you're in the comfortable extension of it, just breathe 6 times into it. And then gently roll it back. And down. And I believe the next one is an up one. So let's find that graceful movement of up. Oh yeah, this one. This one. I'm just learning these two. They just gave these to us. This one is a bit tricky, especially if the wind is blowing in the wrong direction. This one really helps develop balance. So if I'm not able to hold it as long as I would like to, know that where I'm aiming. All right. So if we're all just learning this one. And again, it's when you would do 6 breaths on the left, 6 breaths on the right. You start with standing on one foot. I'm going to stand on the right foot. You take your left hand and hold your left ankle up, bent up behind you. You're bending your left leg up behind you. At this point, it's really good to think ballerina. So to help you get that, oh yeah, there's a posture here, and you're trying to hold a line where you don't fall over when you do the motion part. From this place, inhale and exhale into the move, which is you're going to bend yourself forward, keeping the hand and leg where they are, but bending yourself forward on the one leg until you're bent over at the waist. See what I mean? It's a little challenging. Where, yeah, I can hold it for 3 seconds so far. The idea is to be able to get there and then hold it for 6 breaths, right? This will develop a lot of strength in your legs, actually, and also in your torso, and it is excellent for balance once you can get there. Oops, you all right, darling? No. So it's basically, think ballerina. Try that for a little bit first. We're just the one leg up and standing there for a little bit. And then gently try to move yourself forward.
Can we just try that for the rest of the day?
This again is one that if you have a counter or something to hold on to while you're learning and developing the muscle strength to do it, it will help a lot. So, like right here would be a good place for a counter. So get into the pose. The counter will help you where you can hold yourself until the leg muscles get used to it. I'm still trying to get used to this too. But it is basically that pose. Sand is not making this easier. And then you would come out of it gently and gracefully. Remember, think dancer for all of these. And then you would go into the opposite leg. Gee, I think I found my strong leg. Look at that. Look at the difference. Wow. I didn't notice this, but... And then when you try to straighten the leg fully, the one that's standing, that also shifts the weight again. So it almost starts out where you keep the knee a little more bent on the standing leg. Yeah, counters would be helpful on this one. Right? So you get all the way up. And then when you try to do the stand up, it shifts the balance again. But eventually, with practice, especially if you use a counter or something to give you some support while you do it, you will get to the point where you can hold that and just move through it. And you go from one and out. It looks like dance moves when you do it, where you end up with the hold, and then they come down gently, and then you go into the other hold, right? And you can, it's about core strength and it's about muscle strength in the legs. So it will build those things if you keep trying it. Next one, that's one of the hardest ones. The next one is, it's not really hard, it's just a stretchy thing. And with all of these, imagine that you're a still life model that somebody's making a painting. So when you get into the pose, when you finally get to the action, that you're supposed to hold, imagine trying not to move any muscle. Eventually, you'll get that kind of mastery with your body. And that's also what Tai Chi type things teach you. Every muscle, everything is conscious movement. These are meant for that. This one is number 8. This, you simply start, again, you do one leg in the front for 6 breaths, and then you switch the sides again. This one, it's almost like getting in what's called a lunge position, where you've got the front leg. In this case, I'm using as my front leg, the right leg, in that position where the knee is coming straight out. You've got the back leg, the rear leg, coming where the knee is almost touching. The foot is actually up like this, and the knee is almost touching the ground. It helps actually if you can hold for 6 breaths here and then switch to the other position. You can also, if this is too uncomfortable, just switch to the other position, which is a little less strenuous, where you actually just tighten your butt muscle on the back leg and pull the bend out of the back knee and just hold and breathe. There's a bit of an arch to the spine on this and a bit of an arch to the leg, but you still got your foot in the same position and up. The back leg, ideally, with the toes would be facing the front, right? And you start down, and you just kind of pull up by contracting your back leg bum muscle, and hold while you breathe. You'll probably feel it in the hip on the right leg, or the front leg, more than anything. If it starts to hurt, then pull out of it gently, because you don't want to overextend, because your muscles will be so sore the next day, you'll never want to try it again. Right? Ooh. Oh, that is weird. I just felt like, what? Yes, quadriceps just kind of like wanted to collapse right under me after that one. Well, I can see that these are going to be helpful as far as developing muscle tone and exiotoneal meridian line strength. Don't let the challenging part of them deter you from trying. It doesn't matter if you have to hold on to counters, if you can only get in there and hold it for 2 seconds. Start where you are and work with the body, and eventually it will be like a dance where you can move through these just as graceful as you would be able to in like Tai Chi or martial arts kind of things. So the other leg, we put the left knee in the front and the right leg back with the knee almost touching the ground. And then here's where you inhale when you're going into tighten the back leg butt cheek. And from there, you would breathe for 6. If you can only do it for half a breath, that's okay. At least you got there. This is a build-up that will build up strength in your body and in your legs. And then just gently, when you're done with the breathing, come out of it. Whew. Oh yeah, this is another one where a counter comes in helpful. I've never done it in the wind before. Some of these, even the difference would be if you're doing it between being barefoot and having trainers or sneakers on, just the weight of the sneaker can actually throw your balance off if you're used to doing it the other way or vice versa. If anybody gets to the point where they're really, really good at these and they want to up the program, for like your athletic types, you put 5-pound weights on your ankle of the active leg. Right? Yeah. I do not do that with these. I do, however, do it with the lower body set, which we'll get into in a couple days. But now with this number 9, you starting position. Again, you do one for each leg. So I'm going to start with lifting my left leg. Take your left hand, take your left ankle. First, bring the foot up. Then you can use your other hand to hold the foot up while you take on the same side, the left hand, put the palm around the heel, as if you're holding the heel with your palm of the same side hand, right? Then you extend the other hand out to the side, on the opposite side, Inhale, and on the exhale, push into the action, which is, I'll help him with that in a minute. Right? Now, if you can only get here, that's a start, right? If you can only get this far, that's a start. You start where you are and let that be okay. But eventually, and what it is, as far as the hand goes, the hand on the same side actually turns around where the palm is facing outward. And from that position, you grab your heel from behind. And then you use the other hand to balance, kind of like pulling that way. And then you breathe into the extension. And then you would hold that for 6 breaths, of course, which I can't do in the wind. But we're all learning this together. Then you do the same thing for the other side. Same hand as the leg that's going to lift. Palm faces out. Knee up. Grab the heel from behind. Other hand out for balance on the other side. And breathe into the extension. And eventually you'll be able to get it up quite high. And then staying there is another trick. But eventually, these will build very much strength, core strength, leg strength, and they're excellent for balance. As I'm falling over, right? Okay, so again, you'd move from those fluidly, one on each side, then into these. And for some reason, these are the ones I dislike most. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, these... When you get good at it and you've built the strength in the legs and in the core muscle groups in the torso area, you would simply just point your toe on the leg you're going to lift and bring it directly out and hold it. And then, and this is another one where counters help, something to hold on to. And then you would bend the knee on the other one and go down, and you would hold for 6 breaths. I cannot do this one yet, but you see where it's going, though. To make it a little easier, you start with first just bringing the knee up, right? Instead of doing a full sweep extension, just bring the knee up first, a little bit higher than, or even with a little bit higher than your hip, and from there make the extension out. It's a little easier to get the extension at first until your quads and stuff develop. And then you go down with the other one while holding the extension out. See, we have all these things to get good at eventually. And then, of course, you would move out of that and go into the extension for the other side, where you would ideally go bring that one up. Hole in the sand, wait a minute. And bring the leg down. And eventually there would be, for those like athletic types, you would actually go up and down with each breath, right? I can't do that part yet. But the knee that's bent, you would actually use it. You'd straighten the leg and while holding the other leg out straight. So these are challenging, but the core strength and the leg strength, strengthen the axiotonals and the meridians that are down in the lower part of the body are extremely important. And that's why they focus on things on really developing these strengths. Because if you get a lot of energy coming in the top, but you have constricted lines in the bottom, this is where you get things like hip blowouts, knee blowouts, lower back blowouts, ankle blowouts, feet swelling, all of that. These will help to ease all of those type of symptoms once you build enough strength in the muscles. And it doesn't matter if you look silly, it doesn't matter if you have to hold on to a counter when you're first starting. Every little bit counts. Every time you do one of them, you just help those muscles involved to get better at it. So it's worth trying. The last one is not too hard. This is where you go back into a sitting position. You can plop down if you want, but eventually remember they're all kind of smooth as if you're doing a dance. Now, for some people, if you're a bit tight in here in the leg muscles and tendons, don't force this. All right, but eventually you'll be able to actually put your head on the floor, your forehead on the floor, and so you just take your feet like praying feet, right? Put them in front of you. And bring them as far as you comfortably can toward your private parts. All right? If your knees are up like this, that's okay. It just means these tendons and muscles need to learn to stretch a bit. So if you're having that problem, just breathe, inhale in a minute, and push energy into those muscles. And while you're doing it, gently push them down a little. Gently push the legs down a little. And eventually you'll develop the strength in here to where you can go just about flat, where as flat as you can get your legs. Right? And once you get in that position, once you're able to get your body in that position, then you inhale and breathe in one breath into the going down position. And this is where you go down as far as you can, and don't force it until your body, builds up the ability to do it. And aim for actually putting your forehead, kind of like nose on your toes, forehead on the ground in front of you. Now I get to about there, and then those tendons and muscles in here start to scream. And you don't push when it gets that far. You actually sit gently at the point of full extension, which means where it starts to hurt, you just back it just a little bit off so it's not hurting, but you feel the pull. And just breathe your 6 breaths into that. And with this one, until your legs get used to the flexibility, then you take the pressure off a bit, come back up, and then go down again into another 6 breaths. Eventually, every time you do this, you'll get down a little bit further, and your knees will get flatter a little bit more. And the idea is slow and gentle, and just realizing every little bit will help the body to some degree to get to the next level. There's another one I really enjoy, but from that position, after you would get the 6, and then up, and 6, done. Then right from there, you take it and move, and almost like sit back on your sit bones a little bit, and take the legs and extend them out and down to the next position. I know, ouch. And put the hands this way. And then gently, you would exhale into this part. So you'd inhale and hold a second. And then exhale down, sliding your hands down your legs, sliding your face toward the floor in front of you, until eventually you can put your forehead on the floor in front of you, and that would be the point from which you breathe 6 breaths, and then come back up and release the tension a bit, and then go down and do another 6 breaths. Now, some people may have problems with even getting legs straight, all right? I think I've seen more men have tight ligaments and things behind their knees. Women tend to be a little bit more flexible, but that's not a general rule. That's just an observation I've seen. So first you might want to work on just getting where you can actually sit at some degree of, spread legs with your knees completely flat. If you're like this, it's the tendons back here need to stretch a bit. And you can do things like just gently push them down just a little and breathe into them. And don't make it hurt, but just where you feel it, stretch a little and let it be until eventually you can get the knees flat. And same with when you're going over. Now, really flexible people will be able to have the legs almost at this angle, right? I am not a gymnast. I will probably never get the legs fully out at this angle. And then literally go down, forward, where not just the forehead can touch, but almost the tops of the shoulders can touch. We don't have to go that far, but if you want to, you can eventually develop the body to do that. Again, these are strength and flexibility training that it is doing in the lower part of the body, and it's allowing for stretching. Every time you make a stretch past where it's the comfortable point, as long as you breathe into it, it actually allows a stretching to happen in the axiotonal and meridian lines as well as the muscle. And so it actually gives it a little bit of ability to stretch the muscle. And they always say that to build muscle, you first have to break down what's there, because that's what actually happens. You don't want to tear it apart where you get injured, but every time you feel the stretch, you're actually little bits of the muscle are actually pulling apart and breaking, and that allows for a reformation of ones that are stretched a little bit more. That's why gentle stretch and moving into it and then holding at the point of stretch for a bit
progressively extends not just the ASCENSION lines and the meridians, but also the muscle fiber itself will begin to grow in relation to the new stretching. What you don't want to do is force something just because, oh, I can do that, and you go like flop right on your face. Yeah, got it, no problem. Next day, you'll be so tight, you'll never want to do the exercise again. You can really hurt yourself that way. So even though these are challenging, I mean, what's it worth doing if there's no challenge, first of all? You know, you just get bored to death because, oh, I can do that. Like, oh, wow, I can do 10 jumping jacks. I'm impressed. You know what I mean? You get so bored with those kind of programs just because there is no challenge. The body and the jari get bored too. The jari likes to be challenged, and now that the jari is freed from every time it used to do exercise where it would resist the exercise, because the jarosh was actually activating more quickly and taking more of its energy, now with these activations in the field, we actually have the ability to really empower the jari, that embodied part of our spirit that is right in our atoms, and it will work with us. So it's like you have a buddy. You know how they say that, oh, exercise classes are better when you have groups of people because it's more fun to do it. You stay motivated if you have friends. Well, you have a friend now with you, even if your body is completely alone, because you and your body are getting reacquainted with each other. Talk to it like you would a friend or sometimes like a child. Come on, buddy, you can do it. You can do one more rep on that, just a little bit more, and then you kind of listen. Okay, yeah, okay. You literally learn to talk with it. You can speak to your body consciousness in English, and it will translate that into the language of direct cognition that it understands. And you will learn to translate the direct cognition part back into English, so you can literally start having conversations with your body consciousness. And the more you work with these type of exercises, the more that you will find it's like a dance between the two of you, between you, your 3D mental body consciousness, and your body consciousness. And you will find that if you work just simply and gently and consistently with some of these exercises, not just these, but the ones that we will learn this week, you don't have to kill yourself with them. You don't have to overwhelm yourself. You don't have to do every one of them 6 days a week like I used to do, except for these. These ones are new. Because then you get really sick of it after about a month, and you don't want to exercise ever again in your entire life if you burn yourself out in the first couple of weeks. Pace yourself. Every little bit does count. If you're having a rough day and you're really good with your program for, I've been on it for a month and it's really good and I haven't missed one of my scheduled days and I just had a really bad day and I'm so exhausted I can't even bear the thought of doing leg weight exercises, for example. Let that be okay. Let your jari have a break. Let yourself have a break. But realize every little bit counts. So if even you just do a few simple little stretches, even if you can't do a whole program, do that. And it will progressively build strength in not just your body, but your spirit's relationship with your body as well. It'll get you into a point of understanding and relating with the body better. And even if you happen to be either way too skinny and have no muscles whatsoever and you feel like a total weakling, or if you have a whole bunch of extra pounds on that you're not comfortable with, that does make it harder to do exercises. Just work with what you have where you're at. If too much weight is a problem, well, it's very, very simple, actually. Even if you have thyroid issues, right, where I think it's hypothyroidism, that can really, the body's not producing the chemical balances that make it easy to keep weight off, for example, and the metabolism slows. Even if you do that clean eating that we talked about, and Tosca Renaud is a lady, whose book the Beloveds do recommend because it shows you how to do that in the kitchen, and still do some consistent exercise with a bit of cardio. And the key to that is that it does come down to it, even though it's boring as heck. Calories are calories. If you want to lose fat, you need to cut back on the amount of calories. That doesn't mean if you're used to eating 4,000 calories a day, and the average is about 2,000. First of all, you're going to show that you're storing them. They're going to be on your body in fat. What you don't want to do is drop it down to 800 calories a day and think you're going to go anywhere with that plan, because you won't. You need to bring it down gently to a normal range. If you're used to 4,000, bring it down to 3,000 for a couple weeks. Then bring it down to 2,000, right? Then gently down to about 1,500 calories a day if you want to start losing the fat that's accumulated. But when you do crazy diets, where the fad diets and stuff, oh great, you can skinny yourself to death. Your energy will bottom out. You will not feel well. Your chemical balances will go wacky. It's not healthy for you. And guess what? As soon as you start eating normal again, you're going to put the weight back on. So if weight is a problem in that direction, simply cut calories back gently, which means get yourself a calorie chart. Find out how much an apple has. Find out how much 2 slices of bread have. Find out how much what is in that thing I just ordered on a restaurant, because God knows what's in that, right? There are certain ways that even in the clean eating books they teach you of what to do with when you're eating out, like what to ask for and what not to ask for, because there's hidden fats and all sorts of things in foods, even if they taste good. That doesn't mean they're good for you. It doesn't mean you can't have them. You can learn to ask in a restaurant for a modified version of whatever that is. So for some people, if excessive weight has been a problem, it's getting in your way of doing exercises that, to make yourself stronger and to get your cardio up and all that, it is worth looking at, finding a balance point for yourself. There's other people who have the opposite problem, where putting on weight is very, very difficult. Protein sources such as like the protein shakes will help with that, especially the ones that have a bit more calories. But for calories for anybody, calories should go with nutrition. So, for example, if you're used to eating like pasta, white bread, all that kind of stuff, that stuff is really lacking in nutrition, but high in calories, white sugar, etc. Go for the multigrain stuff. Go for the brown pastas and breads and stuff like that. When you're going to bother your body to digest something, at least try to make it something that's worth its effort to digest. If you work with the diet and with the exercise and with the general techniques that we teach of how to run energy properly in the spirit body system and the physical body system, you will find a part of yourself, a part of your consciousness that you've never had before, actually. You'll find a peace in your life, even if the rest of life is still rough and has its issues. You will find a grace inside of yourself and inside your body. So thank you for being with us for this morning's set of arrayas. These were called the Logayanas. I believe it's tomorrow we start with the upper body ones, and this is where we don't have 180 dumbbells to use here. So we're going to, even if you're just using wads of sand to get the motions down, we're going to teach you the upper body arrayas. They're to be used with depending on how strong you are. If you're a guy, you'd start with heavier weights. If you're a girl with small muscles, you might want to start with 5-pound weights and build up to 10, build up to 8 or 10. I use 8-pound ones for 12 or 15. For guys, you have to find your comfort level. Like it should be the last 3 or 4 reps should be challenging. Right, where if you have 12 reps to do on a thing, the first 8 should be pretty easy to do, but then you start to feel the fatigue in the muscle and the challenge in the last 4. But you don't want to make it over where you can't go like this and you're going to hurt yourself. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. I have to look at the schedule. But when we do the upper body arrayas, we will be doing, I think there's 12 exercises, but there's like A and B in most of them. So it's actually 24 different sets that completely work with all of the shoulders, the back, the neck, the pecs, all of that, and they're geared for that. So we'll see you later. We're having tonight between 9 and 11. We've got lecture number 2. So see you then, guys. Have a good day. Back to sleep.
I got to tell you too, before I forget, just in terms of symbolic language and whatnot, when we went back to the room, we were just chilling and not watching CNN or something. And within 10 minutes of sitting there, I just went to Ash, did you see that? He said, what? Budweiser. I've never seen a Budweiser ad on the TV.
There's a car commercial. The wiser Buddha. Okay, so do we start passing those yet? Okay. What's happening is you're getting your cheat sheets or summary sheets for the upper arrayas, and these are just we'll go through each of these motions. Basically, you'll see some of them have 2 different moves in that count as one, right? So it's almost 24 full exercises. These particular exercises work the upper body, the shoulders, the pecs in the front here, the back, the upper back area, and the arms. So they are for expanding the axiotonal and meridian capacity as well as the muscle capacity in the entire upper part. Now, what we do with them is each movement gets 12 repetitions. You're going to have it easy this morning and while you're here because there's not enough weight sets to go around. So we'll just do the movements together. Now, for some people, if you have physical injury or limitations or something, it is good to check with your doctor before you do any kind of weight work or anything like that to make sure it's okay with your medical doctor person. For most people, especially even just doing the movements first, they will begin to loosen up the areas. Now, for people who are fit on top already a bit, where you've got strong arms, that kind of thing, these will be very easy for you, just doing the movements. And the idea is when you get home, once you get the movements kind of coded into the body, and that's why we're doing them here, is to actually help the body consciousness remember how that is. Because you see 2 little pictures on your page right now, and we didn't have time to do it will be like several hundred pages probably to put the words to all of these exercises when you get the whole pack done. There wasn't time to do that before here. So the start and the action positions are just meant to help you, remember, oh yeah, that one I hold weights this way and do that, or whatever it is, right? You'll find when you get home, please keep these, because as far as if you want to work the program, they're without them, I would never ever remember what I was supposed to be doing. When I was doing these every day, and there was a time when I was doing this whole set of the top, the middle, and the bottom every single day, plus cardio. That's when I kind of shrunk down to like 110 pounds and stuff. Even then, I couldn't remember all of them for every set, every part of the body. So it's just worth having the cheat sheet there, stick it in a sheet protector or something so it's there, and just take it with you. I even reduced them smaller where they look like hieroglyphics, right? Where you just see the little bit of, once your mind gets used to seeing, oh, that body position means that, right? You can reduce each of those sheets down and stick them on one, so you just have one cheat sheet kind of thing. So we didn't do that because you wouldn't be able to see really what they look like, because they really do look like little stick figures you see carved in pyramid, language. But if you know what that language means, right, you know what it is, and it's even, you don't have to take 4 sheets with you, you take 1, you know what I mean? But for now, we'll begin with these. You'll also get one of these sheets for each of the other body areas. And the exercises are not difficult. They're quite standard weight training for the upper body parts. They can be used for guys and gals. They're we all have muscles. For all of us, the point is to use a weight that is heavy enough that you can do, say, the first 8 reps comfortably, but then you start feeling the fatigue and the tiring in the muscles. You don't want to do it to the point where you start with a 10-pounder and you haven't done any weights at all, and you start lifting and you start hurting, because then you'll start popping muscles and pulling them, and that will just set you back, because you'll have to wait 2.5, 3 weeks to try it again if you pull a muscle. So you start with a weight that's comfortable, but a little bit, by the time you get to the last 4 reps, you start to feel the tension on it. You start to feel, okay, ouch, yeah. And the idea with these is, when I first started, if I had to do, the idea is to do 12 reps in a row, and a rep is how many times you do that same action, right? If you get to a point where you got 4 of them done and you're starting to feel the fatigue already, you can do 2 things. 1, you can decide to use a lighter weight for a while, or 2, you can say, okay, and just kind of come into a resting position, breathe a couple times, and then go back into the rep set, right, until you finish your 12. So I would, at times, for certain ones, I could say, oh, I guess I have weak muscles there, because I could get through 12 reps with no problem on one type of exercise. But then I'd switch to the next one, and I would find that, I hit 6, and now my arms are shaking on this one. So I would find my weak spots. And with the weak spots, again, you have 2 choices. You can either decide to use a smaller weight, or you can decide to just literally take the tension off whatever area is being worked, just hold the weights this way or something, and breathe a little bit until you have you give a little bit of breathing space for the muscles, and then go back into the next couple of reps and do it again if you have to, until you can get 12 reps smoothly for each exercise all the way through. Now, you'll find, even though the exercises are not heavily difficult if you use an appropriate size weight, you will find they're surprisingly challenging to do the entire program, because you go through, all right, this is, like say 1A, and you do that, and you do 12 of those. Then ideally, without a break, you go to 1B and do all those 12 reps. Then you'd go to 2A and do all of those. So you literally do it as a continual series of motion. That's what you're aiming for. When you first start, you may not be able to do that. You may need to take breaks not only between reps, and the rep is how many times you do the same movement, but also between sets of movements, like between 1A and 1B. You give yourself the time to have those, to let the muscles recover. Because what you don't want to do is over-push them. And over-push is funny. You can over-push one day and not realize you actually did it, especially when you first start. Because when you first start, you feel like, wow, oh, this is easy. Yeah, no problem. The next day, you're like, rigor mortis, oh my God, why does this hurt now? And the day after that, you might be like, oh boy, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. The body will produce lactic acid in the muscles, and it might be easy the first time, and then especially if you go through it the next day and you're stiff, and then you go through it again, right? This is why we try to give a day break in between. If you're working the top one day, it won't be a top day the next day for your exercise thing if you're doing every day of some sort of activity. So you give the muscles time to recuperate. Also, drinking a lot, just drink a lot of water and keep your system very hydrated before, during, and after will help to flush the lactic acid from the muscles so you'll get less pain. And I will tell you, if you're not used to doing it, you will find a new definition of what is pain and what is just discomfort that means my muscles are growing, right? There is a difference between the two. Pain, you know it. You popped or pulled something, and there's a whole different level of intensity. But when you first start there with anything involving the weights, and also the ones that don't use weights, but you're doing ab work and those kind of things, you will find, particularly the next day and the day after, the stiffness, and there's an achiness to it. That's normal. Stretching a bit before and after helps that, before and after whatever muscle groups you're working. So for the top half, we're going to do a couple of the arrays that we used that were just stretching, that we did with the Logayanas. We're going to use just, and you don't have to use any particular ones. The idea is to stretch out the muscles you're going to use first. So for this set that's involving the arms and the upper body, we're going to do the one, remember we put the arms over the head like this, right? And just stretch to one side and hold. And feel the pull all the way down the side of your body on the opposite side to where you're bending. And then come back up and do the same on the other side. Yeah, you don't have to do any reps or counts on this. Just pull and hold. Okay. Another one that we've done is this one, where you clasp the hands behind your back and inhale, and then exhale into the push, and push them up as far as you comfortably can. All right, this will loosen up the muscles to begin the weight work. And down. Right. The other one that is really good is where you stick one arm out and put the other one this way, right? And then pull and hold. And then do it on the other side. And a really good one is the one we use in one of the Loga postures that I still can't do yet. I have to do this one at least every second day to keep it there. But it's the one where I used a sock last time. You can use a strap or a stretchy sock or whatever. But the one where you do this. Oh, I did it. Look at that. I reached it. Right. Where you can grasp behind like that. If you can't, you just simply get a small belt or a strap or a sock and hold one end with each hand to the degree that you can, and then slowly inch your fingers up and down until eventually you'll pull, get the muscles flexible enough to stretch. Then you do it on the opposite side, which might be my bad side. I don't know yet. Yep, that's the one I can't reach. That one. There we go. I did it. Yeah, it's always good, too. You say, wow, I did it today. He's like, good job, Jari. Right? Good job. Keep going. Right. And then just simple, without whacking your neighbor. Right? Just to loosen them up now that you stretched them out. And simple arm circles. The idea with the stretches before and after is wherever it feels like it's tight or might be tight, you want to stretch that part out. So some days you feel, I don't feel tight here, but I want to do, this one. And you also find that your body is inventive, where it'll invent stretches, right, for you, where it's like, that still feels twitchy. That's still tight. And you're kind of, okay, how would I untighten that, right? So you find yourself like contorting and doing strange things with yourself just to pull stuff out. Learn to listen to your body with that. It'll actually give you ways to, get kinks out where, where energy is being held and stuck and making stiffness to the muscles. I'm going to turn this off for a second because I have to cough. Excuse me. I'm back. Excuse me. Alrighty. Now these little guys, I call them the wimpy weights. My wimpy weights. I started out with my wimpy weights. They're only 5-pounders. Okay? These are the type of things you need to get part of your home gym setup. They're great, though. They're not electronic. If electricity someday decides not to be on the planet anymore, they still work as long as you do, right? I've got both at home, a set of 5 pounds and a set of 8-pound ones, because that's the limit that I work within. I only used the 5-pound ones when I was first training and had never ever done anything before, and I was surprised at how wimpy my arm muscles actually were. The 8-pound for my size worked well. I could probably do the whole sets with breaks in between each exercise with 12-pound ones. If you're a girl, you can build up the muscle that way, and there's been an argument in science as far as, you start looking like, one of those, guy, basically. You're going to start looking like a guy if you're a girl, and you do, say, I progress from 8 pounds, I want to do 12, and I progress from 12, and I want to do 15 because I'm getting strong, right? That used to be that the more weight you use, the greater muscle bulk you will build. That is still true, but as a female, you don't have the same amount of testosterone in the body chemicals, so you actually won't build muscles as large as a male would, but you will still bulk up female-wise. So if you don't want to bulk up and you still want the skinny little effect, but nice tone little skinny little effect of girly arms like some people like, you would want to do, it's more reps with less weight, right? So 8 pounds. I found that when I did the 8-pound ones and I was doing the exercises every day, I scared myself once. I was sitting someplace and I just caught my reflection in a shirt like this in the mirror, going, man arm, right? And it's like, cool, it looks nice. Some women really like, the Iron Woman shape and that kind of stuff. I wasn't really looking for Iron Woman shape. So I said, okay, we're not going to increase the weight anymore. That's good for us. So you got to find your own range with that. A perfectly tailored arm muscle set on a girl or a guy looks nice. But overdone doesn't look good. And the reason it doesn't look good is because when they do what they call complete rip, where you've ripped your muscles and they're really not nice and puffed up as far as you can get them now, that actually stresses out the axiotonal and meridian lines. So it's better to aim for a step just before that. You don't need those bodybuilders where it's fascinating to see what the human form can do when you puff out its axiotonal meridian lines and its muscles join the game. I mean, there's contests to see who can do that the best in this world and that kind of thing. If people are into that, we don't have anything against it, but we do recommend just a step back from that, even if you want to go fitness crazy. Nice, lean tone is great, but overextending to the point where, next time I have to more weight, more muscle, find a balance with your Jari and say, look, I don't have to be Mr. or Mrs. Universe here unless you're going into the competitions, then that will be expected of you, but why compete that way anyway, is my opinion. So there's a happy medium to reach. Now, with men using these exercises, you have the same type of muscles as the girls do. So these exercises will work those same muscles for the guys, but you'll probably need to start with quite a bit heavier weights. 5 pounds will be nothing. You won't even feel like you have anything in your hands. Probably even 15 pounds might be light for most guys. So you got to find that place where if you do pick any one of them and do 12 reps, and the weight is good as when you hit the 8th rep, where you have 4 more to go, that's when you start feeling fatigue in your muscle, right? That's also the point where anybody who's going to, if you start with a 5-pound weight, when do you switch up to, say, an 8 or something, or when do you switch up to the next level? It's when you can go through all of those 12 and you don't feel any fatigue at all. You can get to the 12th one and it's still as easy as the first one was. You've already, your body's actually ready for the next level. Now, that's if you're using just one exercise. What I do, as far as I wouldn't move up on the weights until, the level of weight you're going to use, until you can actually get through the entire set that's on this paper without a break all the way through, without a need to rest. All right. So in the meantime, you can use. I mean, I still use the 8-pound weights that I got used to, because it still fatigues. Where sometimes I have to say, okay, before I start that next one, I'm just going to shake my arms out a bit and breathe, and then go into it. So if you need muscle recovery in between reps or in between sets, so yeah, the different exercises, it's still doing stuff for your muscles, so you don't have to upgrade the heaviness there. All right. So you can judge your own weight. We're not going to tell you have to go do this much weight or that much weight. You can even do these, especially if you have an injury or you're recovering from an injury or something like that. Just start with the movements without any weight at all, and work with, if you have a physical doctor that's helping you with a condition, work with what the doctor recommends. You might want to start with 2-pound weights if you're doing a recovery, say from something like a spinal injury or an arm injury or something like that. So you need to trust your body and respect it with that. You don't push it past what is sensibly good for it right now. And if you are under medical treatment for a condition, you definitely need to consult your doctor about what is okay, so you don't make your condition worse. You're trying to make it better, but you accidentally made it worse because you used too much weight or something. So, now that we've got that said, the way I will do this is I will show you the starting and then the action. Now, there's only most of these have only 2 photos on them. It's meant to remind you where, all right, you start in that position, and then it goes there, right? There's, with the weights for the upper body especially, trying to pay attention to form is quite important, because if your form is off, and form means how you're holding your body while you're doing the specific exercise. If your form is off, you will not be actually targeting the muscles that exercise is meant to target. You'll be targeting other stuff, and you can pull things more easily that way and things. Now, when I work out with the arm set, I do it with a mirror in front of me, because some of them, like you'll be able to tell if I don't have it in perfect form, because you'll see me. I can't see me when I'm trying to go, okay, are my arms completely even, right? When they're supposed to be like this. But if you look in the mirror, you can tell if your arms are at a straight line to your body, where it's a bit hard, even when you've been doing them for a while, to tell if you're exactly in good form for that exercise, right? So doing it in front of a mirror so you can see what your form is doing, see what your back is doing, because with a lot of these, it's not meant to be done like, right? No. You're supposed to have that kind of basic posture, not rigid, and usually have a little bit of bend to the knee, and your shoulders back gently. And when you bend, if it's a bend over one that you have to do arm stuff, but with your body bent, you pay attention. You don't just bend like in an arch, like in a hump, like that. You'd bend and try to keep a straight back, right, where you keep form. And that allows the torso as well, what's called the core muscles in the torso, they also become part of the party. So it's not just your arms that you're working out, but it also, when the torso becomes part of the party, it allows you to get the body in the right position to move the arm weights where they need to go. So you can work on form when you go home. This one is just to get you through what these look like. Eventually we're gonna do a DVD or something. So we could do it together, on the DVD kind of thing. But we didn't have time to do that yet either. They surprised us with having to have these ready for this program, by the way. So the first one is, can you hold this for me, honey, so I don't have to keep bending down and making funny mic noises? Thank you. All right. The first one is a bendy over one, where you stand like that. Knees just a little bit bend. Shoulders back. Remember, straight back. And that's back into that, like, the Buddha back, right? Conscious what my body is doing. Right? And this one, you bend from there. A little bit of bend to the knees. Right? You take the weights like this in front of you. And you can hold blobs of sand if you want, just to get your hands the idea of holding something while you're doing this. And then you inhale, and on the exhale action, push to the side. And then controlled return. It's all about controlled movements instead of like jerky, got it up there with momentum. No, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then when you're first starting out, let you have a little bit of just breathe for a couple times before you go right into the next movement. That was 1A, now 1B. I'm just getting used to the sequence of these. Why is that doing that? There we go. All right. Okay. Now it stopped.
Okay.
Yeah. 1B is a stand-up one. When I go sideways, it's doing that. Let me try sideways this way. Ah, that's better. Okay. Again, shoulders back. Holding the weights this way in front of you, right? But down here. And it's inhale and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I do this. It's just it's not a move really, but I find this pulls out tension if it's built in the muscle through when whatever I was just doing. Where when I break, when I end, I kind of go, and then, and I kind of open and shake it like that just to get the tension from building up in the muscle. So that's number 1. Now number 2, A, is, which one is this? That's this one. I should be on number 2. No, I did this one. Yeah. Now I'm over here. I'm on 2A. This is 2A. It's a stand-up one. Hold the weights in front of you like this. And inhale. And the exhale, action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. 2B is the sideways one. You start this way. Inhale. Exhale, action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Haven't done them in a while. 12. Ow. Now with that one, I've noticed a few people, as far as form goes, this was arms straight. You keep the arms straight. I've been watching elbows doing this. That's a different exercise. This was straight. I think of it as eagle wings. That is the action position right there. Yeah, where you're actually like a straight line from hands all the way across through the body to the other side. Right, yeah. Okay, that's better. I was just seeing a few where there's actually an elbow bend and it was coming lining like this, and that will move different muscles and you hurt your shoulders that way. So form, paying attention to basic form is good. A lot of these exercises by weird names that I don't even know, you can find in various fitness programs. And, you know, they will give you the written, here, do this first, do that second. We'll get there eventually, but we didn't have time to prepare all the word parts. So we're showing you the form. This should be done. We will put a DVD out eventually on the whole set of them. Notice, even though I'm not doing cardio, when it starts to get fatiguing even a little bit, especially when you're moving through your reps. If you want to make it harder, do every rep slowly. If you want to take twice as long in the program, do every rep slowly. And especially on the downswing of any, when you're coming back, that actually strengthens the muscle even more. But it also takes twice as much time. And if you're trying to do your program in a crunch, you're better off just, doing it quickly. Like if you notice, my counts are quick. But if you go, I hit 4, I got to breathe, just stop, hit 4, break, Try the next 4 in your set of 12. Break if you need to. So you give yourself breaks until you build up where it becomes simple to get all the way through. Don't worry about getting all the way through the entire set of exercises without a break until you can get through an entire set of repetitions of one exercise for each one of them, which means you learn how to get your muscles strong enough where you can do 12 reps of 1A. Even if you break then 12 reps of 1B, then 12 reps of 2A, etc., before you worry about increasing any of the weight capacity or anything. And don't even try to push yourself into, okay, I just did 1A, now I'm going to do 1B, now I'm going to do 2A, now I'm going to do 2C, because you just fatigue yourself to death. And by the time you get halfway through, you won't want to do it anymore. Your body will say, I'm done, right? It's better to get through all of the motions in the program. If you had to shortcut on anything at first until you get stronger, it would be the number of reps, all right? Don't omit exercises, omit reps if you have to until you can build to the full rep count. Because each of the exercises targets specific areas and muscles, and if you leave that exercise out, that particular muscle area is not getting worked. So it's better to, if you have to cut back at first, cut back on the rep, how many reps you do of each exercise, not the entire program. Try to get through, even if it's only 3 reps of each exercise in the program. That would be better. So now we're on, I need a drink, excuse me. All right. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, as we're saying, that slow is better, but I find it's like, yeah, I'll take my own advice eventually. I'll take that advice too. It is if you have the luxury of time to do the movement slowly with that conscious, my body is what, I embody doing what, right? You'll get more out of it, but it'll also take almost twice as long to do the whole program. This program at a decent pace, once your body's strengthened to where you can do all the moves and just move from one to the other with, say, just a breathing break of 2 or 3 breaths in between each exercise, it shouldn't take no longer than a half an hour, right? But there's a lot of exercises there. So when you get this done, I try to do it for speed as well as for, you can do it the long way, which you get even more result from, but you still get results even doing it with the quicker reps, and you also might get to work in the morning, that kind of thing. So you have to modulate that to your own schedule. Excuse me a second, I'm just going to have a drink here quickly. Put down a minute.
I was coupling my comment.
As is pointing out that with the grace of the guardian, do the slow, conscious movements when you have the luxury of the time to do it. If not, just think guardian form, and yes, I still do have to get to work or wherever it is I have to get to, so move it in your way. But ideally, these could be done to music as well, where, it's all motion, form. It's like a dance of the arms, right, for these. There's ones when we do the ab works that's like a dance of the entire body. So you can use it as a dance that's like a graceful dance, or you can use it as a dance, got to go to work soon, right? Either way, it will develop the axiotonal meridian lines and the muscles, but you will get more muscle development and a bit more out of it if you do have the luxury of the time. And with that luxury of time, it's slow, controlled movement up, hold, and then controlled movement down. And it's the downswing that the research has indicated, as far as like just science research, has indicated that people who exercise that way, where they control the down as well, actually built stronger muscle faster than the ones who just focused on the upswing, right? So it's both. So you can move it where you need to for your own personal scheduling needs. Thank you. Amen. I used to have these memorized, but then we switched the order of which went first for this program, so I still have to cheat and look. No, I'm over here. I'm over here. Am I over here? Yeah, I did that one, okay. Yes, I have. So I'm on 3A, right? 3A is, let me see my start position on that. Yeah, 3A starts. So weights like this, shoulders back, legs comfortably, and goes inhale and exhale. Right? And if you're looking in a mirror, ideally your elbows, shoulders should be perfectly even with each other, and the weight should be straight like that, right? So it's a... That's why I like to do them in front of the mirror, because my elbows tend to want to point up. And if it's doing that, ignore it. It's not meant to be. Just literally hold this way and come into that position. Okay, yep. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now we're on 3B. This one's easy. It's a simple biceps curl, 3B. And if you don't know what a bicep is, it's that thing there, that muscle, that whatever you know, that's a bicep. That one right there. I did not name all of these either. I don't have all of my muscles memorized, and I probably never will. Yeah, I'm going to have to cough again. This kicks up my cardio, by the way, so if I have to do the mute on occasion just to... This is kind of funny. You do get a bit of cardio, even with just the weight ones, because it does bring the heart rate up and all of that, even though you're not running and bouncing and stuff. So there's simple biceps curls, which is this movement. Inhale and right, bring it up. Yeah, and try form where ideally they should look like that, like where they're running across like that, where they're in a line. And it's just simple. That's the motion. Right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. Okay. Next one is 4. These are fun. These are for one of the other few muscles I know the names of. Call it simply the backs of your arms. You know when you get the bat wing effect? It happens more with girls, I think, than guys. But as you get older, you get this, and you wave, and it goes... You get the double wave effect, like, what the heck is that? Right? It goes underneath your arm, right? And even thin women will get this. It's just there's lack of muscle tension there. Those muscles that are allowing the to happen are the triceps. And there are certain exercises in here that target those to begin pulling those back into the body circuitry. So, and as you work with them, it will begin to pull that effect in, where it will tighten those, so you have much less of the bat wing effect underneath. This one, the first one, you start, I think I'm going to have to go this way, away from that speaker. That was doing feedback. I'll try to do it at an angle, so hopefully everybody can see me from some angle, where you put one foot, doesn't matter which one, in front and one in back. Again, kind of go, stick your chest out, right? Just to get the arch in the back that you're supposed to, and then relax the chest a little. But you're trying to get into that. There's a certain posture that, my spine is sitting right? And you have to you'll feel it when you hit it, and eventually you'll learn to go there every time. And then bend, putting the weight on the front leg a little bit. The arms are tucked in like chicken wings, where your elbows are tucked right into your sides. And you keep the bend. That's the start position, where you'd inhale. And the exhale, you would bring the arms directly back, like this. And at the same time, when you get better at these, try to think about your abs, too. Hold your abs in like you're holding your tummy in as well. So it's this motion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You may find that what hurts more than your arms at first is the hip on the leg that's forward. If it does that, don't force your hip. If you need to break a little bit and come back up out of the pose till your hips and legs get used to that, then do it, because you don't want to hurt your legs as well. And now you can do these, I call it the real simple way, where you can do one at a time. But again, if time is a factor in your life and you have a schedule you have to get to, why do one at a time when you can do the two of them and get the same effect twice as fast? So we do the two of them. All right, there's another one. What is it, 4B? I think it's 4. Are we on 4? Yeah, 4B. This is another one that also targets the triceps and the backs of the arms and shoulders. I would use the other leg for this when I do them right in a row. I'll do this posture for the first one, and then I'll just switch the legs for the other one so I don't fatigue that front leg. And this one, shoulders back, right? Pecs out. Pecs are these things that hold breasts up and stuff, right? Then drop the arms straight down. Lean into it a little bit more, and the movement is this. It's like a deadlift this way. That's where you end up, right? And you can feel it. This one, I actually bend down a little bit further because you can feel it more. The further down you bend. Yeah, so it's like that. And just 12, I just do 12 quick ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, form in the back shouldn't arch. It should be nice and straight and kind of pull back a bit. 9, 10, 11, 12. And again, it's hard to do it while talking, but it should be the exertion part is where you exhale. And then you inhale going back to the next one, to the next exertion is an exhale. So you're actually exhaling energy into the muscle that's doing the work when it's working. Okay, now we're on 5. These ones I love. You can do them standing up if you're in one of those moods where, I'm going to make my workout even harder today, because I just want to challenge myself, or if you want to do it easy. I think I'll do it easy for the moment. Let me sit for this one. Sit down on your towel, or you can stand up if you want to. I'm going to sit. Again, cough again. Okay, let me see which is the first one of these. So this is 5A. Where did I start with that? Just keep it where I can see them. Keep them where I can see them, please, right there. Thank you. Thanks, darling. All right, so this one. Which one is this? Yeah, okay. Right. You start this way with the weights like pointing out from your shoulders. Right, they're straight at shoulder height. Right? And then there's a twist in this one where the movement is as you exhale and bring it up, you go straight up and twist to where they're like this. And that twist does affect what muscles are being targeted. And then on the way down, you twist back. There's like weights facing front, up and twist, weights facing side, right? Where they're facing the sides, and then down. So it's this movement. And you go, inhale, and 1, 2, 3, and back straight. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And now 5B. This one, actually, if I had somebody positioning my arms a little better in the photo, I would have. They're supposed to be like L's sticking out. You're on your start position on the next one. They're supposed to be like L's, and I can't tell right here either. I need somebody to come and say, no, put that one in a little bit further. Right? So it's supposed to be perfect L's, your arms in a perfect L shape, sticking out from you. And the action is inhale and similar to the one before, but it targets different muscles. And notice this one doesn't have the twist. You're starting out with weights pointing to the sides and ending with weights pointing to the sides. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. With that one too, it's good to use the mirror to get used to where your body is with it. If you think about trying to keep your wing bones in the back kind of moving back toward each other, where it keeps a bit of the spread here, right? Because the arms tend to want to go And you find yourself up here going, oops, no, it's supposed to be back there, that kind of thing. So you get the drift. The body will drift into a more comfortable place because it's resisting the resistance you're giving it. So if you try it with that one and numerous ones of these, try to think about the wings in the back, those two little wing bones, and try bringing them together a little bit more consciously, because that will give the spread here and pull your whole posture back a bit. Okay, next one, water. And by the way, keep water handy. I do. I drink all the way through my exercises, any of them. I don't do the torture myself. I won't let myself drink until I get done with that set. Forget it. If your body needs water, drink it. Excuse me. Alrighty, now. This one's still a sit-or-down one, where you're sitting. You can also do it standing if you want to. Start with putting the weights together and bringing them up over your head and back. Like this, and back. Again, back straight. And the motion is pushing them up this way. And if you can squeeze and push up on top, all the better. But once you get this far into the routine, I still can't do the squeeze. And when I get up there, it's like if I get up there, I'm lucky, I'm happy. So it's this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then and release. That one again works the triceps and the backs of the arms and the shoulders and the backs of the shoulders. What you'll find is when you start working with these, the shape in through here of your neck and shoulders will begin to change. You'll start to get more of that guardian effect, where if a lot of us just have relatively poor posture, where we started that way in the womb and we just carried it through, often the womb imprint actually comes from our mother, where we actually carry the body in a similar way that our moms did because of the time we were in the womb, right? We got an overlay impression of that. So if you're fortunate to have one of those lovely graceful necks and your shoulders sit down here, good for you. It'll also help those tone. But if you're one of those people, like many, many people, who is, especially with women, but guys get it too. You get the slope shoulder effect, where there's hardly any muscle development up and through here and in through the back. So you get the slouchy shoulders. You sit down, and you're at a curve when you sit. You just kind of slouch. And even when you try to sit up, you're still kind of slouched. So you sit up this way, and you're still slouching. That's part core muscles that need to get tighter here, and it's also part these muscles up here that need to be strong enough to hold the shoulders back, the bones of the shoulders back, and give you more of that, say, guardian walk, right? A graceful, easy pose, not a rigid one where you're trying to go, okay, how do I walk now? No, it's a grace, like ballerina type grace, that you can get. The muscle tone that's required to hold some of that, these exercises will help build. You'll find that you'll start to see these little bones here in the front. The collarbones will start to show a bit, not horribly, but enough. You'll start to see the tendons down here on the sides of the neck come a little bit, where they're actually a little bit distinct when you move your head. And you'll start to find that slopey thing that happens with the shoulders here starts to taper, where these muscles will pull in and get tighter, which makes your neck look longer, like you got more neck all of a sudden. And these will start to take on a nice shape kind of neck. Little bit of shoulder there, little bit of shoulder there. Now, if you're a guy, you've got bigger muscles up here. And it will start to give you that more, yes, you can see these, yes, you can see these, definement in the muscle tone. So there are advantages besides the obvious of doing your axiotonal lines and meridian lines. Your muscles will also thank you and start giving you, where you start looking in the mirror and say, hey, I can see the changes. I look better. I'm getting more of my guardian self in. Yeah. So I just wanted to point out that. And now we'll go to, there's a standing up one. I like the sitting down ones, and I'm doing it now because we're in the heat. So whenever I can sit, I will. I've never done these in the heat before, by the way. I usually do it in the air-conditioned house. So we are on 7A. Oh, these are weird. I still try to go, right, where is the right feel for these? These are a very strange pose. where you kind of just stand comfortably, knees slightly bent. You're going for that effect where, again, you have straight line with the shoulders going out to the elbows, but from this angle. And it's really weird because the bottom parts of your arms do weird stuff. They just kind of hang there in a very weird position, but it does. It builds the shoulder muscles, the backs of the shoulder muscles, and the tops. So it's a... And this is where mirrors help too. So you can see how high your elbows are up. Are they even with the shoulders? And it's just that movement right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ouch, these hurt. 5, 6, 7. See, my arms are getting weak. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, when I do the 8-pound ones, every third rep, I have to rest on that one because it really gets fatiguing in here. So if you have to rest in between the reps, do it. Instead of trying to push yourself where you actually can't lift anymore because it'll stop. Your muscle will stop. His total fatigue point, it just won't lift it anymore. You don't want to bring it to that point. All right, next one is 7B. Yes. This one's weird, but not quite as weird. And it's this one. Start with the weights out in front of you touching. And it's a version of I think they call it a row exercise, where it's inhale and then exhale, where your elbows are sticking up this time, right? As if you're picking something up this way. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you start to get stiff at any point, that's when put the weights down for a minute and literally stretch out. Use one of the stretches to stretch the particular muscle that's getting stiff. Like with that one. And like if you get this far in the program, just do a little bit more of these if you need to, right? Oh, stretch that out. Or these even. Just stretch the muscle out to get the lactic acid moving through more muscle instead of pooling in the muscle groups, and you'll get less pain in the, by the next day. Muscle pain. No, where am I? On 8A. Oh, we're laying down again. Laying down. And there's a whole set of them laying on your back. So we'll do those. What's the best way to do this so they can see me? Maybe I'll do this this way, just like in the photos. You can see my head so you can see the arm motion. You're basically just laying down on your back. Right? With your knees up and together. And all of the action's going to come from your arms. So I'm putting my head this way towards you so you can see what the arms are doing. And the first one, I call these bat wings and eagle wings, just to remember which is which. The shorter little wings are the bat wings, and they start in this position, right? Where even the elbows should be elbows even with the shoulders. Right. Back flat, knees together. Inhale and exhale into action, and that is the action. So it's this movement, right? And do 12 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I just kind of let them flop, But the flop part, be careful if you're going, I'm done, and like when you're flopping with weights in your hands, because the weight will pull, and you can actually pull a muscle doing that, so it's best to put the weights down before you go, flop, right? And the flop part is to just let the muscle tension go and relax after a set of reps. Now we've got the eagle wings, which are the big spread out wings. Again, the hands and arms should be sticking straight out from the shoulders, and the weights should be pointing like toward your feet. I would say running vertically with the body. If they were going this way, that would be horizontal, right? If they were running horizontally with the body, that would be like that. They go vertically and stay that way. Simple movement. We inhale and then exhale into this. Straight arms up, and that's where you end up. And then the harder part is actually coming back, where it's a controlled descent back down. So it's like pulling your wings. If there were wings, flapping them into the front and then back out again. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's getting hot. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now the next ones are still laying down. And, right, yeah, yep. Okay. Trying to do these. Oh, these have a twist in them, just like the ones we did standing up. So you start with them actually over your shoulders. Now, you're on your back, right? But I'll try to turn so you can see this better this way. You start this way. See that? Where the weight's, one of the ends of the barbell is actually like resting gently on your shoulder up by your neck. And the action is push upward, your arms straight upward, but twist so they become horizontal across the top of the body like that. So there's that twist in there, and then coming back down, you twist back down. So it's 1, 2 up. I don't know if I can do anything with the transmitter. Only change positions, yeah. I'll have to do it this way. The other way was messing with the speakers. So again, the barbell's resting a bit on your, around your neck and on your shoulders. And then you exhale up and push straight up and twist. That's 1. And then back down and twist. And 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. Okay. I'm going to take a drink of water again. I'm going to try to speed these up a little because I don't know about you, but I'm getting awfully sun-fried at the moment. It's really hot out here today. There, stop that electricals. There we go. Almost done. Okay. 9B is a bit challenging. I find this one a bit challenging, and sometimes I'll actually omit it, and they said it's okay if you want to. In fact, you have an option. At first, if it's too much to do all of them, you can do either A or B, and not any one of them first, and then add the, and you develop more muscle tone and that kind of thing. This one, 9B, so again, laying on your back. Hold that. I'm going to have to lay to the side for this one. Thank you. Okay, and this one is funny, where you bring your arms up like this, actually, and you're holding the weights this way. And ideally, and I can't tell unless there's a mirror there to check out of the corner of my eye, but this should be parallel. No sand in your mouth either. Right, to the ground. So it should be an L shape. And I can't really tell from under here. It's hard to tell, but if you had a side mirror, you could tell if you were in the right position. And it's simply pushing out. No twist, just... 5, 6, 7, 10, please, honey. There's 12. Okay, now 10A. Okay. Which one is that? Yep. All right, 10A is, this one actually works the abs as well. Right, it's starting up or down on that one. I forget. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So you start out in this position. You can also start out in the opposite position. That's why I was checking which way did I start, because it doesn't really matter if you start with your arms back or up. But start like this, inhale, and then on the exhale, bring them directly overhead, and then back up again. So that would be 1, okay? And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep the arms straight. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go. See that one, please. Now, okay, for 10B, first, wait a minute. When you feel adventurous, you can do, 12 on each side. When you don't feel adventurous, you can do simply 6 of these on each side. When you feel not adventurous at all, you can stick with 10A, right, for that set, that you're doing. So these are quite simple. You lay on your side. I think I may have to do that way, because I'm going to be laying on the transmitter. Wait a minute. Sorry about that. To try it the other way. I'm not used to working with a headset on, doing exercises at the same time, so pardon me as I learn what that's about. Okay. And lay down on your side with your knees kind of together and relaxed, and your head propped up on your elbow. You would take one weight and start it like this, resting on the hip. And simply inhale and exhale into the motion. And the first thing when you're using actual weights, you'll feel that the arm wants to go wobble, wobble all over. The idea is a straight, clean lift. And then straight, clean down. The wobble just means muscles aren't developed yet. And you have to focus on developing those. Right? And 3. Let's do 6 on each side. 4, 5, and 6. And then you would flip over and do it on the other side the same way. I'm not going to do that because I'll have to relocate the transmitter and all of that, but you get the motion, right? So you just, and if you would, just try that now for you guys, because it is better to balance the axiotonal and meridian lines. If you do one side, do the other. So simply 6 of those. And again, it's that same motion. Straight arm and lift and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you go. I didn't want to over-fatigue that arm and make it totally out of balance with the other one that I'm not doing. That's why I didn't do those with you on the arm. Now, we're already on 11. Now, if you're really fit, you can do these. These are push-ups, okay? Yes, if you are where I'm at or anywhere near that right now, you can do what are called sissy push-ups. And if you never graduate to a full push-up, that's fine. Sissy push-ups help too, right? Ideally, you would be able to do the standard push-up, and a push-up is where you've got in the start position B. So, and they tend to be easier for guys. Girls can do them if they work out to get the muscle strength and the upper arm and upper body strength. But guys can usually do push-ups because they have bigger muscles up in the arm region to begin with. But the push-ups do really strengthen the entire arm and the back. They strengthen the muscles across the back and some of the muscles under here, so they really are quite well-rounded. The sissy push-ups, I'm not even going to attempt. If you want to show them a full-on push-up, you can do those. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to demo. I can't do those, but I can do the sissy ones. And when I did work this program where I had been doing it every day and building after about 3 months with the arm exercises and everything, I got to where I could do 15 push-ups, 15 full-on push-ups. So even a little wimpy girl like me, I was surprised. I actually got to the point where I could. But I'd find if I missed doing anything for a week, I'd be back from 15 down to 5 that I could do, where the strength would go quickly if I didn't, do it every couple days, every second day. So it was like a commitment. Do I really need to do 15 push-ups? No. Do I need to do 12? No. A few is nice, so you can, move that the way you want it. But it is good to get to the point where you can, because you're just strengthening the entire upper body group, and also the core muscles are involved when you hold the body straight. That means the core muscles with the abs and the back, the lower back, all of that, they are all involved when you use the full-on straight push-up. But it takes time to build there. You can use this version to build to that point where you simply put your arms in the regular push-up position. Wait a minute. Right? But put the knees up, like the feet up and the knees bent, and just do like these. Yeah. And what's interesting is these are put at the end of the program. I think we're at about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These are put at the end of the program, which means your muscles are already fatigued, right? Before you go into them. Now, we do recommend with this whole program to try to keep them in order. They're ordered in the way they are for a specific reason, but if you find you can't, if you look at the thing and say, if I have to put that first today, I'm not going to get through any of them, right? Then don't. You can move it around if you need to, but ideally bring it back where you can do the sequence in the flow that it's in. The last one requires the assistance of a chair or a couch or something that you can lean against. It's like a backward push-up. And this one is great for those bat wings again and for strengthening the muscles here. As far as guys need them too, even if you don't have bat wings, right? It strengthens the triceps and also the upper back muscles. And you can do a cheat job if you don't. Say if you've gone someplace and you couldn't bring your chair with you kind of thing. You can do these this way, sitting on the ground, where you put your palms, your fingertips facing your bum, right, in your body, and simply lift your butt, and then this way. And don't let your butt sit back down, right? You can let it touch, and try to keep your elbows in, which is a challenge. They tend to want to fly out, to point out to the sides. Keep them in. The chair one works even better. All right, that's in a pinch. When you're not in a pinch and you have a chair or something that you can lean your weight on, that's not going to fall over. Come here, honey, please. I need to use the front of it. You can't sit on it for me. Sit on the back. Okay, you can. Just don't. Just hold it this way, if you would. Would you just hold it that way? Right here. Well, we'll put it right here, I guess. We should just hold it right there. Yeah, and let's see if that's going to do that on me. No, that should be all right. Okay. I don't want to wipe myself out by the collapsible chair. Right? Where you can start by sitting on it. And you hold like this. You just put your hands on the chair like this. Right? This is actually bending under my weight. Great. Ideally, don't use a chair that bends under your weight. Something more stable. And then move your bottom off the chair and holding yourself up like this, right? See where it's like you're sitting in the air now? And your arms are supporting you. Then you go down and try to keep the elbows not flying out to the sides. And you literally do this. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there go the elbows. 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. You'll find that hurts here a bit, right, when you're building, and also here you feel it in your upper legs and thighs. So that is a run through. I do believe we've covered every one of them. I also do recommend don't do it in the heat. Do it somewhere cool. And if you can move through the whole sequence of them, you know you're ready for whatever the next level is when you can move through every one of them as if it was one exercise, where you don't have any muscle fatigue, and you can move from 1A to B to 2A to B all the way through. That takes a while. 6 months, and I still couldn't do that comfortably when I was doing it every day. So don't worry about having to do that. Take breaks in between reps if you have to. Take breaks in between sets. And a set is like a whole exercise before it switches to the other, right? So these will help develop the upper body strength. They will also give you part of your cardio, but not as much as running. We still need to do a bit of something that, uses the direct cardio a bit more. Thank you for suffering in the heat out here with me today. I am sorry that I had to make it an hour later this morning. I never would have survived it an hour earlier. So thanks for being with us, and we will see you this evening. As far as I know, it's on schedule, 9 to 11. We will let you know if that changes, but I think this one will be all right. We're not heavy on Mylars tonight because it's going to be more of a discussion thing. The beloveds are going to give us things to discuss. And remember, today, as dear Buddhas that you are, we are doing the mindfulness exercises 1 and 2. So please don't forget to do those today that we took down last night, right? And make your journal entry at the end of the evening, whenever you're going to bed, just to make a note to yourself, what was that about for me? Did I do it? Did I have lots of resistance to do it? Did I think it was stupid, so I wasn't going to do it? Did I actually do it? Did I get any effect if I did it? Observe yourself in relation to doing those 2 exercises, okay? And save that, because we will have a time at the end of the program when we have a little bit of sharing time, just to discuss insights we might have had along the way. So, love you guys. Thank you for being here. See you later. Bye.